Okay. So I don't think it's going to tell me on there. I have more problems with this Oh, we got somebody on D-Live. Welcome, whoever you are, up there in D-Live land. And I don't have my, it's not, again, hang on a second. We'll be going live in just a sec.
We have to go through the compulsory problems.
In 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Very interesting that we can compare the shooting because they happen so close. 2 minutes and 38 seconds. So here we go. Right? Which helped. So we won't get into that either, but I'd like to just make that note that that's just hours before on Saturday, a shooter opened fire at an El Paso, Texas shopping center. There's an issue about corruption in the state. And there's an issue of corruption in the state, right? Apparently, Snapchat stepped on the social justice warriors' ding-dongs, or peanuts, or what have you. Apparently, Snapchat's new gender swap filter is causing problems for the social justice warriors. Snapchat's called her warriors. An anarchist, right? He's an anarchist. Social justice has become a religion. It's quite literally a religion. I know religion. I was raised in the church. I went to Bible college. I degrees in theology. I know religion. But the other one who just killed a couple more people is all still out there. Transgenderism and similarity I see between them. dressed up and he's dressed up like a girl, you know, that was probably not the best thing to do. I'm sorry. That was great. They nailed it. Soy Boy is 110% organic, non-GMO,
And there's no need for anyone to think that is unacceptable. We're going to shut them down and work with
We're gonna shut them down.
and they can be prosecuted.
That voice has to be mocked.
Members of Congress.
Okay. You there, Rational?
Yeah, mate. I'm here.
Yeah, you know, if it isn't my wife calling, then it's my daughter's motorcycle breaking down. So I had to run out there and do a little quick fix on it. Let me make sure my segment view here is okay with you. Pardon the breathing heavily into the phone or into the microphone. That's kind of
No, it's all right. I know I have that effect on you. It's okay, mate.
You do, man. You do. Where is Oh, I know why that window's not up. Because I don't have that window up, so we can't find it. Why are you small again, Rat? There we go. Sorry, guys. I had spent a lot of time making sure this whole stuff was all set up just right, so we wouldn't have any issues today. And as it goes,
We're having issues.
we're having a couple issues. Not really issues. I just was going to get him set up early, so we didn't have to, be waiting like this. And then my daughter's motorcycle breaks, so I got to go out and take a look at that. And so that is how it goes. I'm going to put you under me. Yes. So now I'm just adjusting this cameras that I was going to do before we started. And whatever. I'll probably readjust that later. That's probably good enough though. Camera right. Here we are. Where are you at? Guest one. Okay, guest one. Let's bring you up here. So, Rat, how's your, how you been doing? You haven't caught the coronavirus, I hope.
No. I try to avoid such things, to be honest.
They said
I
that
don't go to China, mate.
they did say that it hit Australia, is why I was wondering.
Yeah, no, not where I am, mate. No, it's all good here.
Okay. All right.
I don't think it likes bushfire.
You what?
I don't think the coronavirus likes bushfire.
It does not.
That's-
All right, let's get into this thing here. All right, here. Intro. Transition. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. So glad to have everyone here. Like I was saying beforehand, had all this, man. I was ready to go today. We weren't going to have any problems. It was going to be spot on. We weren't going to have any issues. We were just going to get into it and get after it and so on and so forth. And, well, that didn't exactly happen. And now, look at that. Now, after I do all that, my wife calls me. So we're gonna take.
Normally, she gives us a few minutes, mate.
Yeah, exactly. 1 second here. Just hang on 1 second. Let me put it so Rational can be seen there. There you go. Rational.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
You can entertain them.
The mask is gone, fellas. Check that head. It's a rough looking thing, isn't it? I admit that, but it's probably better than the mask. So, but if not, let me know, because I'm quite happy to stick the mask back on if people are offended by the head. Anyway, so how's everybody been, guys? Technical technician Mark. Hey, Cindy, how are you? I've seen a few comments from you recently, Cindy, about things going on in the UK. Just on a couple of different videos. It's always sort of interesting, having a look at the way that Tommy Robinson is being treated. And it was great seeing him win a Freedom Award from some press group, an International Freedom Award in the Netherlands. Or was it the Netherlands?
I saw that, and I was so happy for that, man. Tommy Robinson got absolutely just screwed over, dude. So bad. So
yeah.
Okay, so anyways, I let Rational on there to take up while I was on the phone, but we got a great show for you today. I have put a lot of time and thought and energy into it, and then everything gets blown up, right? And so it gets a little frustrating. But so what we're going to do is I wanted to welcome back first, and everybody's already got to see him. I had a big reveal set up for him. Rational Wrongthink is back. He didn't burn up in Australia. He is still with us. He didn't die of smoke inhalation. And he is also was not killed in by the coronavirus just yet.
No, the old beer flu hasn't got me yet.
Nope, it has not, man. But in appreciation for the coronavirus, I have my rum, and I don't know. Did you grab yourself a brewie or a brouhaha?
Mate, I should have. But it is. I have to say, it's not even 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning yet.
It doesn't matter, dude. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, man. And it's not 5 o'clock here, but it's late enough in the afternoon to drink for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. So maybe next time, mate.
We got a great show, though. We're going to talk about the coronavirus, but not from the way that everybody else has been talking about it. We're going to dig in and unveil some or kind of look into some interesting aspects of what's going on with the coronavirus. I also want to jump in and dig into what's going on with a couple other interesting news topics. And of course, though, before we do all of this, we are going to do a little meme time with Steven in one quick second. Let me just see who's out in the chat right now. We got 13 people. I probably would have kept more if I would have been, my crap would have been together. But we got a shout out to Jesse. Jesse's here. Jesse Leon. Thank you for being here. Tactical technician. He got the blue wrench. He's going to be blue wrenching for us today. And Mark. I forgot. We got Mark the mod in there too. And Rational Cindy. Hello, Cindy. I have an episode later that you're going to want to plug your ears. I don't say all the bad words, but somebody says a lot of bad words. It's going to frustrate you, but it needs to be looked at. Ned Frankley is in, Jesse Leon, and Mel Monty. Welcome, Mel Monty. Very, very glad to have you here. Looks like a new face, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Mel's been here before. I don't know.
No, I haven't seen the face before.
What's up, Preacher? We're just calling people out right now, so this is cool, man. Everyone's jumping in at the right time. Preacher, yeah, if you're in the chat, or if you're here and you want to be shouted out, just put something up there in the chat. But anyways, we're late here. We want to jump into this. My wife started like, I thought you were going to be done already. She didn't say it like that, but she has a lot of groceries to put away and whatnot, and I told her I was going to start earlier, but then this Australian guy, he was like, he can't start till 2:30 because they don't wake up till apparently pretty late in the afternoon.
Yeah. It's not even 10 o'clock in the morning yet, mate.
The first few words of your title, Ryder Dust. If you want people to know that your video is on the coronavirus, put it in within the first few words of your title. Yeah, it's not really just about that, though, Ryder. That's a good, thank you. Note to self, I will, I'll take that as a word of wisdom. But it's not the only thing we're talking about, so. And then we do. Fluid, poor Patriot. That's he said he also, I think Fluid said he's got a new video up, so you guys can go check his channel out. He's a new channel that's grown, Fluid Poor Patriot. Didn't you change your name, dude? It was Fluid Poor by Greg, wasn't it, or something like that? So you must have changed it a little bit, but either way, it's all good. All right, guys, so before we get into all those fun stuff, I think it's very important for us to first start off with a little episode of Meme Time. You stayed up there. You ruined that one there. Okay, let me fix Rational Wrongthink's picture because I'm going to put him down here in the corner and make him a little bit smaller.
Yeah, you don't want to see the head.
We don't need to see all of that right now, either one of us. All right, so if this is your first time to SJG Perspective, we do what we call Meme Time with Steven. It gives us something to talk about, to laugh about, but also to, it raises some serious points that we can talk about also. So normally I'd say this gives people time to flood in here too while we do this, but since I had a little bit of a lot of extra time in the beginning, we don't really need that. So anyways, I'll take this first one. This first one is a meme that says Liberty Arms, gun, ammo, and tactical. And then on the reader board, statistically, you are more likely to be killed by Hillary Clinton than an AR-15, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, true.
It's true. It's funny because it's true. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's the funny part about it. Can you read that one?
35-year-old father of one decides to move out of grandmother's house.
I'm also giving up on my allowance, he says.
Oh, man, I'm so disinterested in the royal family.
I am too. I have no spoiled, rotten, pampered little brats that who the F cares what the ginger and his Canadian, overlord want to do with their lives. Who cares about that? Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. I do find it funny that Justine Trudeau has kindly offered her services to pay for their safety because, look, the reality is too, I think the guy's a bit of a muppet because, he went over and fought in Afghanistan. And his head is a prize target for certain individuals of a certain religious persuasion that is obviously very, very peaceful.
Right, exactly. Peace be upon
and
them.
So, that's right, yes. And so, for him to give up on his security detail was for him to invite a little bit of, what would you call it, head-severing frivolity to take place in his local area, right? Yeah. So, he needs the security. Yeah. I really don't get it. But anyway, they've got ass loads of money. He's still going to have. Doesn't the Queen own Canada though? I heard like something. She basically owns Canada, literally. So it's kind of like they're going to be protected. Sure. And you know what? I'm just thinking about now. I think this could also be a very good distraction from the horrible interview that her son gave about the whole, Epstein thing. And maybe that's why. What was his name? Andrew. Was it Andrew?
So Andrew, yeah, Prince Andrew, whatever. That's why this has made as much news as it has, to get the news off of that, just because it's like such a shit show. Sorry, Cindy.
Yeah.
Anyways, next one. I'll do this one. Fight worker exploitation by supporting forced labor camps. It's because he's
Bernie, you gotta love him, don't you?
Yeah, no, you don't have to. You really don't. You just don't have to love him. All right.
Fair enough.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about this a little later, but can you read that, or do you want me to read it?
No, me. I can't come to work, boss. Why? Me. Caught the coronavirus. Yeah, beer flu. Yeah. That's what I thought of too the first time I heard of coronavirus. Like, you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Bloody hell. That's a new way of saying I've got a hangover, boss. Yeah, I've got the coronavirus.
That's exactly true. This one says, technical glitch results in hundreds of invalid voter registrations in Illinois. This is supposed to be a meme. Technical glitch results in hundreds of invalid voter registrations in Illinois. Maybe I meant to talk about that later. Moving on. Let's go back to a meme. This one here. So, he goes, you called me a liar on national TV, says Warren. Well, if the moccasin fits. Pocahontas.
That's great.
That's a pretty funny one. All right, next one. Go ahead, Rash.
What do you mean there's no proof Trump did something? Didn't you hear what I made up yesterday?
It is. I'm so tired of talking about impeachment, but it's still going to be around us for the next weeks to come. It's so transparently, blatantly hurt my brain obvious what is going on and why the left has started this and is pushing it the way they are. And people just, I don't get it. I don't understand how people don't understand. Everyone can't just see through this, you know?
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that people just live in these little bubbles now, you know. So, I mean, there are people out there who think that CNN is credible, you know, and MSNBC and all that kind of thing. And so they are going to believe these, like, you know, PencilNet came out the other day and was saying that, you know, one of the major media organizations had reported that Donald Trump said heads are going to roll in the Republican Party if people don't support him in the impeachment. But he's probably the guy who actually said that Trump said that to the media, because we know he's done that kind of thing before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Now, they make shit up. They give it to the media. Sorry, Cindy. They make stuff up. They give it to the media. The media then report it as though it comes from some kind of a source.
Yeah.
And then it becomes news, and the Democrats then repeat it as though it's legitimate stuff. It's like, it's just BS.
Yeah.
They should not be able to get away with it. It is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. No, it's
crazy stuff.
It's mind blowing. It hurts your brain when you look at this and you think about this stuff. It really does, for sure.
I take my coronavirus with a wedge of lime. Modus operandi. That is great. That's a meme, dude. You should be making memes.
That is. That is.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's great, Modus. Democrats 2020. Free tuition, says Warren. Bernie, free abortions. Biden, free back rubs. They present diversity. They represent the diversity people. I'll take this one too, and then you'll get the next one. You said I was pretty at the bar last night. No one is ugly at 2 a.m., Karen. Not political at all, just funny. I just thought that was kind of funny. So, anyways, all right, next one. Okay, this one doesn't say anything. This one maybe you can see down in the lower left-hand corner down here.
Yeah.
Impeachment trial, U.S. Senate. I thought that was kind of funny. All the you want to read that?
Warren claims Bernie gave her a smallpox blanket.
Oh, and she's going to be relentless against her for just so much more time to come. You know what I mean? It's like it's.
Well, do you remember when she started up her own little campaign to get people to do anti-Trump memes?
Yeah.
What happened to that?
I know.
That seems to have died out pretty quick. I think probably because all the people who got in there and made memes are actually mocking the crap out of her.
Right. I'm making sure I close
funny.
some of these here. This one's hilarious. It goes, I met a woman outside the mall crying. She had just lost $200. So I gave her 40 from the 200 I just found. When God blesses you, you must bless others.
Yeah, good one.
This is good, yeah. You want to take that one?
Yeah, funny how leftists have no problem with Beyonce making 80 million, but lose their minds when a CEO with 3,000 employees and 100 million in profit makes 5 million.
Yeah. So true.
Again, very, very true.
It's like you don't think
that.
about it. We don't think about these spoiled, rotten, pampered, way overpaid celebrities, right? Well, some people
sports
think about
stars.
it. Yeah, and sports stars that are the leftists of the left that are preaching all this woke bullshit, right? Sorry, Cindy. But and will march right along the people screaming to that corporate greed is the worst thing in the world and it kills and ruins people. Yet they don't look at these people and go, wait a minute. You literally did nothing, pretty much nothing for your money. You don't employ anybody. You don't create anything. All you do is tell the rest of the world how bad they are. Wait, huh? Like it's pretty. I find it pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's why I liked Ricky Gervais. You know, when he was speaking at whatever it was, you know, the Golden Globes, and he's like, just get up. Take your little, take your little award and F off because nobody wants to hear what you've got to say. You spend less time in school than Greta Thunberg. And that was brilliant. What a fantastic line.
And he just didn't give a crap because it was his last one. So he was like, I don't care. I'm going out with the Thunder.
And the thing is, like, like, if you actually listen to what he has to say in the UK, especially when he gives radio interviews, that's basically who he is. That's what he's been saying for quite some time. And, like, I couldn't believe that they were dumb enough to have him back and to say, look, this is your last time, because what was he going to do? He was absolutely going to rip the crap out of him. It was great.
Yeah. Mounting a legal defense is evidence of guilt, Adam Schiff. We'll dip her in the water, and if she drowns, she's not a witch. That's kind of a funny one. Oh, this is a good one. You want to take that one?
God, please give me a sign for what to do with my life. Try drugs.
That's just funny. Oh, I appreciate
that's brilliant.
That's so good. You mean to tell me your president is corrupt for exposing corruption? I'll take this one because it's a little bit smaller and I got to scroll down. So, aren't time zones amazing? In Australia, it's tomorrow, which is true. In Europe, it's tonight. And in the U.S., it's 1775, where the statist bootlickers try to disarm citizens who just want to be left the fuck alone. Sorry, Cindy. So funny. Because it's true. Here's something we can all agree on. I don't know, I probably don't have any of the Bernie Sanders supporters in my chat. I wouldn't imagine, but I might. Who knows?
No.
But here's the one thing we can all come together on, and it should be something that should be very telling to everybody. That we both, Bernie supporters and Trump supporters, think CNN sucks.
Oh, look at the arms on that Bernie supporter. That is just soy boy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But it creates a bigger picture of the truth that the two anti-establishment parties, one on the, I don't want to say far right because we're not far right, but as the establishment goes, the one on the right and the one on the left, man, are the ones who both understand that CNN and CNN representing MSNBC and all these other them, right, are right in the middle, and they just want they don't want to rock the boat, right? They just want the nice status quo type candidate to win. So that's the way they push it.
Yes, well, yeah, CNN and all of that they are in the bag for the globalists, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. So that they're into the globalists who are in the Republican or the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Same thing in Australia. The media supports the globalists here. And if you step outside of the globalist camp, it doesn't matter whether you're identified as being on the left or the right, you become a little bit of a pariah. And so, they become, the Tommy Robinson, the Donald Trump, that they are the people who are kind of speaking out against this global order that, let's be honest, the majority of people don't want.
Yeah.
Most people on the left and most people that are on the right, so-called these days, don't want this globalist BS rammed down our throats.
Exactly.
We just don't really have too many options on who to vote for to not have it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'll stop ranting now.
No, you're right, man. You're right. Here's a little picture, not funny, but protesters cleaning up after themselves from the Virginia protest. And I'm not going to try to say this really dictates the type of person you are or, the type of person you vote for or the crowd you run in, right? But I am going to say that. These leftist libtard freaks, right, that are out there after the anti-gun protest, basically, and I don't know if this is exactly the same picture of the March for Their Lives, but you see it time and time again. They leave behind them a wake of destruction and mess, and they don't give a crap. And then you see the protesters that are up there protesting their rights that are being taken away in the Second Amendment. Good God-fearing Americans that believe in the Constitution and gun rights. There's not a damn fight that breaks out, and they're picking up one sticker that fell on the ground, type of a thing. It just shows a different type of person that, typically subscribes to both different,
Yeah, and that's not just an American thing either. So in Australia, when we have people here who are going out and they're protesting in favour of free speech, you see certain things happening. You see generally respect for the police, respect for women, respect for people who are in minorities, respect for the environment. We look after things, we keep things clean. It's all nice and happy in a friendly little atmosphere. And then you get the numpties on the left coming along again, who are supported by the globalists and the media because they're doing their work of destruction. And they come in and they just leave almost every imaginable piece of crap around that they can. It's just that's the way it is. But we're the bad guys, of course.
Yeah.
Respect is bad. Okay.
Read that one.
Worst white supremacist rally ever.
I think I did that one before, but that's so true. That dude's got a 50 cal, man. That's what is it? Behringer 50 caliber, I think. That's badass. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
This one's funny. This The story is about how my life got flipped and turned upside down. The Fresh Prince. Again, it's the Fresh Prince. It's not that funny, but it's kind of funny. These pens keep. It's Nancy Pelosi. Keep these pens. We're gonna need to fill them. We're gonna need them to fill out our job applications. I'm trying to go through a couple of these last ones I had because I had some good ones, and I want to get into the. You want to take that one? Or you want me to read it?
Don't worry, though. These guys are all over the problem of young people smoking. They want to stop 14-year-olds from vaping, so they raise the age to legally vape or smoke from 18 to 21. If that last sentence made any sense whatsoever to you, congratulations. You're crazy enough to run for Congress.
It's so true. I love Rand Paul, man. I really like the guy. I think he's awesome. I like.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what he has to say.
Yeah,
especially when it comes to things like the U.S. interventionist policies in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I think he's very good on that. He would pull the American troops out. If he could.
Oh, wait a minute here. Fluid Patriot said he took. Did you take that actual picture, Fluid Pour, or you just took that guy's picture when you were there? Sorry to interrupt you, bro. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I just saw something in the chat, and my ADD got the best of me. I'll let Fluid Pour respond to that. He was at the Patriot March, but yeah, no, I agree with you though. One of my biggest pushes for him was his anti-interventionist stance and his monetary stance, right? To not be, he doesn't believe in just printing money wildly. So
yeah,
there's a lot of good things about him that I think, and his dad. I think I liked his dad more than I even liked him, but I don't know.
I don't know his old man. I must admit, I've heard of him, but
Ron Paul.
But yeah. I've heard of him, but I haven't sort of looked into him. He's probably a little bit before I took an interest in, American domestic politics.
Yeah.
Being an Aussie, I was kind of more interested in what was going on here.
Yeah. He ran in 2012. The 2016 he ran in. No, yeah, Ron Paul ran in 2012. The 2012 the 2012 election. He didn't make it. He got knocked out, but But then his son obviously ran in 2016. Which I would hope he runs again when Trump's out, and done. I hope he stays in the mix because I just really like the guy. Okay. And
then backstage, Elizabeth tried to scalp me.
Good.
Oh, Brad.
Teacher of the Year, Kelly Holstein, refuses to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Still wonder why so many millennials are brainwashed? And that literally is what we're gonna talk about this in a little bit later, kind of with brainwashing younger children. But it's brainwashing, guys. It's brainwashing. You can stand.
Oh, absolutely.
And now, see, here's the thing. I think the people who kneel are pieces of crap, right? When they kneel for the flag. But I also believe they have the right to do that, and I'm not going to force them to stand because I believe that's authoritarian. And the very men that died for the right, for those people to burn the flags and for those people to kneel, as sickening as it is, as much as I hate it, as much as I think those people are absolute pieces of crap and I don't like them, I think that what they're doing, that is what America is. You have the right to kneel and be a complete moron, shaved-headed, libtarded fool. It scares me, and I think it's sickening that these idiots are teaching our kids, but you have that right in America to do that, and I stand by that.
Yep, 100% agree. I'm the same. I mean, obviously not for the American context, but here in Australia, if people want to burn the flag, let them. I think they're muppets, and I think they're a bit sort of arsehat-ish, but that's okay. You're allowed to be an arsehat if that's what you want to do. Sorry, Cindy.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think ass is a swear word.
I disagree.
I
really disagree with people who sort of get out there and say that it should be made illegal to burn the flag. I don't think it should be illegal under any circumstance because we need to allow people to speak. And the idea, as I see it, the reason why free speech is so important is because if you let people speak freely, then they can enunciate their stupid ideas. And it's really important that you let people do that. So we want the flag burners out there because we want to know who the people are that want to destroy our country. So don't try to make them hide. Let them come out into the open. Let them do their stuff. And then we go, okay, we know that we need to watch you and we need to watch the people around you because you're the people who are really dangerous. You're the people who are out to destroy. Yeah. So by all means, let them speak. Let them burn. Let them use it as toilet paper.
You just made it sound like, go ahead, stand up. We're putting you on a list, and we'll take care of you when the cameras aren't on.
No, well, not really. But I mean, but there are certain people who I think need to be watched more than others.
Yeah.
I mean? Like there's no, like, why would you bother to sort of watch somebody like me? You know, like, I'm likely to help an old lady cross the street, you know, not beat her up like people in Antifa do. And I'm not trying to tear the country down. I'm trying to sort of keep what we have of our culture, you know, keep it sort of going and help to sort of get it back to a good point. You know, these other clowns are, you know.
It's funny. I was reading, Robert just joined the chat, and he goes, we got to indoctrinate the kids to eat. And then he goes, early, not eat, not much. He goes, sorry, little drunk, just lost a shuffleboard tournament. If he's a little drunk, we should get him on. Let me
yeah. Come on, man, get on.
Everyone give a thumbs up if you want me to invite Robert to the chat. He's a little drunk, so this could be a lot of fun. Let me copy the invitation. Hey, Robert, I'm going to shoot right now you the invitation in Hangouts, and you can join us, man. If you want to join us, you can come on in. There's the invitation, Robert. So if you want to join us, man, you're welcome to. It'll take me a second to reposition the cameras, but we'll keep going until I see him ring-a-ling-ding-dong in. That's funny, though. That's funny. I want to get drunk Robert in the chat. That's great. All right, moving on here. The media's reaction to a peaceful gun rally in Virginia. That poor girl, man. Not really, but she has just been the face of the woke TDSers set for 4 years now. For 4 years now, man. Oh my gosh, it's so funny to me. Let me see when he.
Well, I've used that particular piece of film quite a few times in some of my parodies. Like, it must be one of the most used pieces of footage, and it's still used today because it's really symptomatic of the left. You know, this weirdo screaming at the sky. Is it actually a she?
Oh yeah. I think it is.
Right. Okay. I wasn't sure.
Robert said he's half sleeping through it, so he may not be able to join us, guys, but he's driving home. When he gets home, if he wants to jump on the computer. Oh, wait, there he is. What's up, Robert?
Hey, I'm here. Listen, my wife's driving me home. I'm in the car, and I'm going to lose reception, but I figured I'd call in and say, yeah, I'm a little drunk. I lost shuffleboard to some old timers, but I'm having fun listening to you guys in the car ride here.
Okay, good. So, Robert.
How long do you plan on going?
Oh, I don't know, dude. We'll probably go. We just started. We started a little late. We'll go for a while. I mean, I don't know how long a drive you have home. But when you get home,
when I get home, I'll try to join. But I'm listening to you. I promise. Hi, everyone, and thanks for the invite. So.
You're welcome, dude. All right, we'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
All right,
catch you, mate.
Dude, that's a cool little call-in feature, man. If I wanted to send that out to people, but then they'd also have that. Maybe I could actually send that copy invite for people to call in. But then they would just break in. I don't know. I got to figure that out. I got to get the call-in feature back working again. Okay, we got a few more
because that was good when you had that going.
Yeah, we got a few more.
You had people ringing.
Okay. Socialism grounds sounds great on Facebook. In reality, it corrodes not only the economy, but the human spirit itself and the ambition and achievement that brought billions of people out of poverty. Gary Kasparov, he's probably a Russian agent, though, former Soviet citizen. But you know what? I just felt like that was important to say. We got
I'll go.
Got 12 more memes, so let's get through these quicker so we can get to the meat of what I wanted to talk about. You guys enjoying this? So give me thumbs up. Is meme time with Steven? Is this an enjoyable discussion time? And is it you guys enjoying all this? Is this good? You liking this? Give me some thumbs up if you guys like what we're doing or an okay.
Move on to the next one while we're waiting because it does take a bit of time for it to come through, doesn't it? So
yeah. This is just funny because HBO teams with CNN's Brian Stetler for a documentary about the rise of fake news. That is akin to, what is that akin to?
Brian Stelter.
That's akin to an arsonist talking about how not to start house fires. You know what I mean? That's kind of the same kind of akin, man, to this. It's like you, the fakest of all fakest people, are telling us how to be on the lookout for fake news. Well, your fat face is the big shining example of making sure we're watching out for fake news.
Well, I mean, he is the guy to tell us all about the rise of fake news because he has been central to the rise
He
of
is the
fake news.
he is the face of fake news himself, as Mark Dice has made so apparently clear. Mark Dice, this is like every time he talks, all you can ever hear is Mark Dice's voice talking about him.
Oh, no, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, dude, it's so great. It's so great. Okay.
Poor Brian.
You want to read that one, or you want me to?
Riddle me this. Women's marches with ugly hats and vulgar signs hold a rally, and it's empowerment. Climate change activists block traffic and twerk in the streets, and they are saving the planet. But when gun rights activists exercise their rights, it's hateful and dangerous.
And boom, there's some truth.
Yep.
This is great. Warren rejects peace pipe offered by Sanders.
Oh, dear.
Oh, man. So awesome. Okay, so this is Nadler. I'll read this one because I got to scroll down a little bit for it. So it says,
Yep.
So we got Trump 4 more years, lost the House, and ended our careers. And all we got were these stupid pens. I put pens in there. It's so true. I didn't even know they gave him pens, but she was passing them all out, Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. Didn't she do one letter of her name in the signature with a pen, with, like one letter, and then handed the pen over, and then grabbed another pen, did another letter, and handed that over? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of immature, childish kind of...
Twat. Sorry, Cindy.
It's just stupidity, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They are a
It's
clown show, man. They really are.
It is. Oh, this one's for you, dude. You take this one.
Hang on
So
a
first
sec.
off, I got to move you out of the way, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Hang on, let me move you out of the way a little bit. Down here in the corner, people, I don't know if you can see it where my cursor is. My cursor's not showing up. Down in the right-hand corner, you see a little bit. It says Australian fires, and it's a lineup of who's guilty for the Australian fires.
Arson, climate change skeptic, arson. Number 2, step forward.
The climate change. Oh, man. They finally got it under
yes.
control there, though, in your neck of the woods, right?
Oh yeah, it's getting there. Yeah. I think we're doing well at the moment, but we are back. We're going to be heading back into some extreme heat in the next few days. So like a bushfire that's under control in Australia doesn't necessarily mean that the danger's over. They can pick up again really quickly. And one of the things that you know about Australia when we've had a bushfire, there were areas where things can be burning for weeks. Embers can stay hot inside trees and stuff. It can last for weeks. So you get a bit of a strong wind blowing, and it picks up a little bit of fuel, and bang, it takes off again. So yeah, we're not out of the woods, but yes, it is under control. But that's a limited sense of being under control here.
Yeah,
they can change pretty quick.
That's cool though that it's starting to. And the nice part about it too, I joke. This was a terrible joke. I didn't set up very well. There's less things there that can kill you. That's probably not the best joke because it's killed off a lot of stuff.
Well, yes, that is half a billion things that want me dead have been taken out by the fire.
So maybe it's like God purging Australia. It's like God redeeming Australia.
Yeah, every cloud has a silver lining, mate.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of which, I actually found a whitetail. Do you have whitetail spiders in the US?
No.
No, these ones are really good spiders because they can move at about 85 miles an hour. So if you don't kill them first time, they're gone. And they don't build nests. So they move, webs. No spiders build nests, I don't think. Right. But they don't build webs. So they just constantly move around, and they can move a huge distance. And they really like to get in things like, your clothing and your bed and stuff like that.
And
if
they bite
you, they make your flesh start to rot. If you get bitten, and that's really what you want when you're whacking your pants on in the morning is a flesh rotting spider to be sitting in your crotch.
Whacking your pants on? That is not a thing we say here in America. Whacking your pants on. We usually
when you're
take our pants off when we're using the word whack. Okay, that's usually the other way. When you're whacking your pants off, you're doing something, but that's hilarious.
Yeah. When
we
you
need to get a little clarity on here what it means.
Slapping the Soleimani.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, so this one says, if our leaders lie if our leaders lie about the problems we face, we will never solve them, Hillary Clinton. Says the lady that lied about private servers, lied about wiping the server, lied about being broke, lied about the dossier, and lied about Sniper Fire, and lied about Benghazi. Oh, I love calling these sons of bitches out. Sorry, Cindy. Okay, I can let you read this one if you want to.
Okay, Trump is focused on signing better trade deals, growing our economy, rebuilding the military, killing terrorists, finishing the war, ending human sex trafficking, fighting the opioid crisis, preventing voter fraud, putting America first. The Dems are focused on stopping Trump.
Isn't it true, though? Isn't it
Yep.
true, man? Isn't it true? Well, it's funny how powerful memes can be. We laugh at them, right? And they're funny to watch and to read or whatever. But there's so much, many times they're packed. They're just a compact vehicle delivery agent of truth that just makes you think, wow, that's really all true. That's really all true.
Yep. That is the power of them, and that is why they're not liked by people on the left, because they no longer have a sense of humor.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
they don't like them.
So it says, oh my gosh, this is real. It's not that he molested children that got CNN to pay attention. It's that he didn't have high regard for the environment. What the F, CNN? Jeffrey Epstein's disregard for environmental protection showed his disrespect for the law. Jesus. Oh, man. This one's a very true but sad statement. You are free, everybody. As long as we control your resources, your education, your currency, your internet, your military, your justice, and your land. Being a libertarian. This is so true, dude. You think you own your house? Try not to pay your taxes and see who really owns your house.
Yep. We are free to be controlled, unfortunately.
By the way, I'm going to get this out while everybody's in here. If OBS kicks me off, because they do sometimes, my OBS will crash if I have too much going on. Just know that we're going to be popping right back up in the news feed. So just go back to your YouTube news feed and click back on and get back on the live stream if it kicks you off, if we kick off. So it says, I launched airstrikes 2,800 times against Iraq and Syria without congressional approval. And they gave me the Nobel Peace Prize.
Dear.
Sad but true. Take this one.
Yeah. The party of no genders, is that fighting about which gender is most electable?
Yeah.
Sorry, your head's in the way there. Yeah. The party of no genders, fighting about which gender is most electable. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
It is so true. It's funny because it's true, guys. It's funny because it's true. Okay, a couple more here. Maybe this is the last one. Oh, this is great. Wouldn't this be awesome, everybody? Listen to this one. I think this is my last one. Then we're going to jump in here to the meat of what we want to talk about. It says, all I want is Trump to host a rally during a Democratic debate, but instead of him doing his normal speech, he watches the debate with the crowd and adds live commentary. That would be freaking golden if he did that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Oh my gosh, that would be
Catch you later, Cindy.
See ya, Cindy. We scared her off, guys. Sorry, Cindy. Hate to leave, but I gotta go. Good show. Bye, y'all. All right, good. She's getting.
I think she's got to go and wash her ears.
I don't mean good. She's leaving,
language.
but it's good that she leaves before we do one of our segments because there's a whole lot of f-bombs dropped in it.
Yeah.
She would not be amused.
That weird woman that lives in Australia now.
Robert said Bernie should just announce he's a female Native American.
That's already been tried in the Democrat Party, and it didn't work.
Exactly. She did try to do that, Robert. She did try to do that. Oh, man. Okay, so here, we're going to jump out of this.
Next, we're going to find out that Liz Warren's actually a man.
Right? Oh, man. So anyways, guys, that was not drive time. That was meme time with Steven.
Time with Steven.
It's supposed to cut out, too, when it does that. I thought it was, I know why it didn't do it. Hang on a second here, guys. Hang on. We're going to go back. Wait a second. I wanted to do this so it. Okay, hang on. So just pretend we ended our last meme. Okay, here we go. We just ended our last meme. I'm going to reread it just for effect here. All Trump wants to do is host a rally during a Democrat. Instead of doing his normal speech, he watches the debate with the normal kind of. All right, guys, that was. There we go. That's how it's supposed to go, and then it brings it back to this. Anyways, we're back. We're back. All right. So, guys,
my head is a bit bigger now. What's going on there?
Oh, it's because we don't have to pretend like we're under the auspices of the other dealio now. So,
right.
All right, guys. So, some of the things that I didn't tell you we were going to talk about today, we're going to talk about here in the later segments. I'm going to tell them to you now. Neo-Nazi in Virginia is a government contractor. One of the neo-Nazis that talked about, that was talking about, going to Virginia and starting a gunfight. He's actually a government contractor. Worked as a government contractor. Pretty interesting little psyop there. We're going to dive into that story. Virginia thinks transgender education is good, but the Constitution is bad. Gunmen in Seattle are black thugs. That's weird. Electoral fraud with illegals. FBI agent commits suicide connected to the Clintons, and immigrants waiting for Trump to be out of office before they try to cross the border. But before those are going to be some side things we talk about. Before we do that, we're going to jump into the coronavirus, though. We're going to jump into the coronavirus and talk about it. But
Fear flu.
But in the meantime of doing that, I want to give a shout out to Rational Wrongthink, everybody, who's not wearing a mask. And I kind of miss the mask. We're gonna have to bring the mask back from time to time, my friend, because it is it's kind of how we got to know you. So you should put it on there. That almost makes me feel better in some ways, just because I feel like that's you, you know. But you guys, if you don't know Rational Wrongthink, somebody asked who was in the chat beforehand. He is a good friend of mine and was one of my first subs on this channel. Would come in when we only had like 2 and 3 people who would come into my live streams. And now we're rocking like 24, 25. We're moving on up, people. Anyways, he has a great channel, and I would love you guys to go over and check it out. He does parodies like me. He has his own flavor of his parodies. And we're going to take a 60-second time out here, and I'm going to show you a little bit of Rational Wrongthink's work, and then we're going to come back and jump into this coronavirus. This coronavirus stuff, we're going to hit it from a new angle, guys. I think we're not being told some stuff on this. I think there's something weird going on, and we're going to dive into some interesting articles on that. So we'll be back in 60 seconds. Don't go away.
Miller Lite virus.
They can still hear it.
It's man. It is man.
Too much to dream, my legs are wobbly. I met a strange lady, she made me nervous. When I saw the board, you grabbed the covers. And I said, I believe you're my love. When you're the most of sugar, looking at the man under.
Rational Wrongthink, everybody.
Tonight, new bombshell.
Subscribe to him.
Television, North Korea, Kim Jong sisters, Marilyn Monroe. We're calling out the liars. Your spin keeps on turning up. It's time we burn it down. We're calling out the liars. Though you try to silence, cause you threaten violence. White flesh, FAK, juicy smiling, white face, Sandman did the smiling.
All right, everybody. That was not the one I wanted to go to. We didn't mean to do that. That's why I muted that one before. Anyways, we're right back into us. A few little glitchy McGlitch-a-lots, but hey, it's all good. Hey, what's up, Native Texan? So glad you found us. I'm going to do a shout out. You guys can't see it. Native Texan, if you want to jump in with us, all the other friends hanging out in the YouTube chat, please subscribe to me or go look me up on YouTube at SJG Perspective. We got a bunch of other good friends over there in that chat, and if you want to jump in over there, that's great. Or you can stay on D Live if you want to. But Native Texan brings up a good point, everybody in my YouTube chat. Please subscribe to me on D Live at SJG Perspective, because there will come a time where YouTube will not be having me up on this channel anymore. And that is where I will always be streaming. It's a great platform, really like it, and would love it if you guys, came over and, checked it out and signed up over there. But, yeah. Oh, he doesn't like YouTube. He says, ew, he doesn't like YouTube. Well, you can stay right there, man, too. That's all good. But, okay, guys, let me do one thing before we get into this whole dealio. I want to pop out my chat here. That's what she said.
Just to Modus, while you're doing that, I suspect that YouTube loves to unsub people from me. I know one person who subbed about half a dozen times because they kept getting unsubscribed from me. So, you know, maybe you did sub and then got unsubscribed.
Yeah,
that happened. Gary Awesome, he's an Australian guy, and he has a real problem with people being unsubscribed from him. I've been unsubscribed from him. Pretty much everyone that I know that subscribed to the guy keeps getting unsubscribed from him.
Yeah.
You know, YouTube don't like the free thinkers, mate.
They do not. They do not. So, guys, what we're going to jump into now and what I wanted to talk about was this coronavirus going around. Man, it is it's getting a lot of play, and it's getting a lot of crazy talk, right? And I want to kind of know, are we getting the full story here? There seems some stuff that seems a little weird about it, it feels weird to me. It feels like they're not telling us the whole story, and we're gonna dive into a couple articles that kind of deal with this.
I think it's obvious that we're being lied to. It's just a matter of what lie are we being told, or maybe it's more than one.
Yeah. No. I don't know. I think it's going to develop shortly as we dig into this. For instance, I mean, it says that here on this one article here, when it's all, and this isn't maybe the most recent article, but it said Greenwich Times says Wuhan quarantine expands as Chinese fear authorities aren't telling the full story about the coronavirus. So we know that Wuhan and a couple of these other Chinese cities have been full on lockdown quarantine, right? Well, millions of people were not allowed to come in or go out of their city. And we have seen wall-to-wall coverage of this on the media, telling us how this coronavirus is spreading. There's now, isolated incidences in Australia, in Texas, in Chicago, in Seattle, in Mexico, in the UK, where this is spread, right? But it kind of seems like it's and so then we jump over and we talk about what's going on in China, right? And this article says the central Chinese city of Wuhan pulsated with fear and anger on Thursday as 11 million people awoke to news that they were being confined to a metropolitan area-sized quarantine zone designed to contain a widening coronavirus outbreak. The quarantine is also spreading with nearby Huanggang and Ezhou announcing they were shutting down travel networks, effectively confining some 20 million people to their cities. In Wuhan, train and bus stations were abruptly closed, hundreds of flights were canceled, and some roads were blocked to stop people from leaving the city on Thursday. Can you imagine if that happened here? How the fear and the breakdown of that, what that would do to people's minds here if, there was that type of a quarantine going on? It would be crazy, man. It would be just absolutely crazy.
Well, just to put that in a little bit of perspective too, Australia's population is only a little bit over 20 million people. So they've effectively locked down the entire population of Australia and stopped them from moving, in effect.
Right.
Obviously it's a little bit different, because there are just so many people in China. But it's unbelievable. But look, that's what the Chinese do, isn't it? They're going to build a hospital in what is it, 10 days?
Yeah.
They're going to build a new hospital in the area so they can start housing people. And they did that with the SARS virus as well, open up a new hospital in 10 days. But I want to know why there were so many of these new viruses coming out in China. What are they doing? Is Paul Joseph Watson right? Maybe some cultures are better than others. Right. We don't seem to be developing new viruses all the time. Lay off the bat soup, mate. That's the that's the moral of the story I'm taking from it. Don't throw a bat into hot water and call it food.
Right. And Joy Unspeakable said, "Is it true that it is cured with lime and salt?" It could be, and I think that.
When are we going to get tequila virus, man? That's the one I want to do. A bit of lemon and salt.
Next one that's coming. But no, seriously, guys, are we getting the full story on this? And then there's this other article here that says, do we have is there kind of a slight overreaction from this? It says, this was a Twitter by Jack Prosobiec. I don't know exactly how you say his name, but he goes, rumor from a source inside Wuhan that China plans to use airspace to drop some sort of medicinal spray on the entire city. Says, who knows what's really going on? They're going to spray the whole city over a flu virus? Oh my gosh, think about that for a second. Can you have a talking point on that there?
I haven't seen anything else on that's kind of validating the claim that he made. So I don't know where he got that from. But if that is true, that does suggest that it's not the flu. You wouldn't go spraying an entire city with medicine just for something that's a bit like a flu. So obviously there's something we're not being told. It'd just be interesting to know what it is. It must be a fairly severe kind of a virus if that kind of drastic action is taken. And think about it for a minute. Would you trust your government? I know I wouldn't. Would you trust your government if you're living in a major city and they say, it's okay, guys, we're just going to spray medicine all over the city. That'll fix the problem. I'd be trying to get out of there as quick as I possibly could. I'm assuming that this is SJ taking his compulsory
I
phone
am.
call
Sorry
from
about
his
that,
from
guys.
his wife.
I apologize for that. I wanted to get right in on that thought point there. Yeah, yeah. I did. I had a.
Yeah, so I was just saying, would you trust your government
No.
if they were saying we're going to spray the entire city with
well, they're
medicine?
already spraying us. This is the thing. They're already spraying us, right, with stuff, which we already are saying that, wait a minute, and then they denied it. So if they came out and said, hey, trust us, there's this flu virus that has already killed 40 people. I woke up this morning to 40 people. 40, and we're going to retouch this, but I'm jumping around. But 40 people have died. I don't know, a couple thousand, 2,000 or 3,000 at this point have been infected. People. 50,000 people died last year from the flu from the flu, right? 50,000 people died from the common flu. And we are wall-to-wall coverage over 18 or 40 people that have died now? And you're going to tell me you're going to spray the entire city and fumigate the entire city because 40 people have came up sick and died, and then many others that came up sick were absolutely got a little sick, got a little cold, and now are fine. What the hell? What are you trying to sell us is my question in all of this.
Yeah, that's right. As I was saying to somebody before, like, out in the real world, we have to put this in perspective. When we have people in the media giving us real numbers, it is because they are trying to sort of ramp up the hysteria. Like 41 people have died in 6 weeks. Okay, yep. I mean, that sounds bad. But then you think, how many billion people are there in the world?
Yeah.
Right. And especially in China. So there's
Right.
probably been more people. There've probably been more people who have died while they're trying to, rub one out in the last 6 weeks. Like just
trying to
killed
whack
over
their pants. They were trying to whack their pants on.
yeah, just trying to rub one out, and they've had it, and they stroke out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it happens, right? There's probably been more people die from that than have died from the beer flu. So, yeah, that when you have a situation like this where something's being ramped up like this, you have to say, okay, well, this is obvious. The narrative here is crap.
Right.
So what are they distracting from?
Right.
Or what truth aren't they telling us? So is this coronavirus something that's really, really horrendously nasty, like Ebola,
Right.
or is it just a distraction from something that's going on? You have a look around the world. You have a look at things that are going on. You've got Brexit coming up soon. You've got people in Hong Kong that want freedom. You've got the yellow vest protesters ramping up again. You've got people in Iran that are protesting against their government and seem to be acting in support of the Americans and Donald Trump in some cases. So there's all this stuff going on that the media and the globalists aren't happy about, because it's kind of, you've got all these you've got this fractionalizing occurring in the world, as people are separating from each other. That's not the narrative they want. So you put this thing out, you suppress all of those things that are going on, like you suppress Hong Kong, you suppress the what do they call the gilets jaunes, the yellow vest protesters in France and all that kind of thing. Look, there has to be something, because the narrative that they're giving us is such transparent bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So here's an interesting part on this. Some of this thing here was that, hang on a second here, guys. I got to fix something. Was the fact that inside Chinese, here's the thing. Is it a coincidence, along with everything that we're finding out here, is it a coincidence that Max Security Biolab opened a few years ago in Wuhan? Did you know that a Max Biolab facility opened a few weeks ago in Wuhan to study the world's most dangerous pathogens? In Wuhan, a biolab a few years ago opened in Wuhan. I said that a lot of times, but you mean what I know.
Yeah.
That seems weird to me.
Yes, and that's another interesting thing. Like, are the Chinese here desperate to try to stop one of their biological weapons from getting out into the world? Is that what this is? This could actually be, rather than just being something nefarious that the Chinese have done, this could just be an accident. They might have had somebody who was working on creating these new viruses. Yeah. And and it's got out. Somebody inadvertently got infected. Yeah. So we're going to touch on here in a second how the World Health Organization says it was contained when it first came out, right? And we're going to show a map of how this was not contained, even though I don't think it's a big deal. It's weird how they say, oh, it's contained. And then we're also going to touch on how this was
how the NATO and the United Nations was involved in a exercise done last October about the coronavirus, right? And also how Netflix just released something kind of weird. So there's some interesting points coming up here. But let me read a little bit of this about the biolab. It says, inside the Chinese lab poised to study the world's most dangerous pathogens, a laboratory in Wuhan is on the cusp of being cleared to work with the world's most dangerous pathogens. This was put out in February. This article is from February 2017. This isn't not a new article that just was put out. This article was put out in 2017, okay? And it says this. A laboratory in Wuhan is on the cusp of being cleared to work on the world's most dangerous pathogens. A move is part of a plan to build between 5 and 7 biosafety level 4 labs across the Chinese mainland by 2025 and has generated much excitement as well as some concerns. Some scientists outside China worry about pathogens escaping. No, that would never happen. Don't worry about that. There's not going to happen. And in addition to a biological dimension of geopolitical tensions between China and other nations, but Chinese microbiologists are celebrating their entrance to the elite cadre empowered to wrestle with the world's greatest biological threats. And then they let one go in one of the crowdest cities. You possibly let one go in the world's crowded cities. It will offer more opportunities for Chinese researchers, and our contribution on the BSL level 4 pathogens will benefit the world. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe that didn't work out quite as expected, says George Gao, director of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, key laboratory of pathogen microbiology and immunology in Beijing. There are already 2 BSL labs in Taiwan, but the National Biosafety Laboratory in Wuhan would be the first on the Chinese mainland. Okay? So there's one article that touches on this, and this is a more current article that comes out of Big League Politics, which I kind of like.
Can I just jump in there for a second? Isn't that a recipe for disaster when you have on mainland China, the Chinese government who, look, you don't want to cast aspersions, but they're not necessarily the best at keeping things in check, right? And they now set up a laboratory dedicated to the creation or the study of potentially, life on Earth ending pathogens and viruses, some of which are man-made, and they're setting that up on the mainland in a place that has almost the most densely populated place on the planet. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's absolute madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what could possibly go wrong there apart from, a global catastrophe that wipes out,
pandemic.
90%. Yeah.
Right.
But what else could go wrong?
A deadly coronavirus called the Wuhan virus, based on the Chinese city it emanated from, has spread to the United States, with a man in his 30s being declared a patient 0 in Washington state. This is probably a couple days old because it's changed. Yeah, it is a couple days old. The patient came back to the U.S. from Wuhan, China on January 15th. It was displaying no symptoms at the time, according to the local and federal officials who made the public announcement, but became sick the days after he initially returned. Dr. Scott Lindquist, who works as Washington State epidemiologist for communicable diseases, said the patient is in stable condition but is still being isolated in the hospital out of an abundance of precaution and monitoring. Passengers at several airports are going to be screened for the virus moving forward in an attempt to prevent its spread. Little too little, little too late. 6 people have already been reported dead worldwide with the coronavirus that has causes pneumonia. Now that's where it's like 6 people have died from this virus worldwide. How do you even put that in a percentage of how many people die from other things? Hell, what if the flu, whatever, worldwide in that same amount of time? It would dwarf in comparison. So that's one of the reasons why I'm like, why are so many people getting so alarmed about this thing? I just don't know what we're not being told, but it seems very suspicious to me. You know what I mean?
I think we're trained in becoming easily fearful. You have to keep the sheep on edge.
Right.
A bored sheep is a sheep that starts to think and starts to learn. You don't want that. You want the sheep to be fearful because fearful people are obedient. So that they throw this stuff out there, and again, the raw numbers they use the numbers that best suit the narrative, right? And in this case, 41 people dead. Again, as I said before, that sounds bad, but 41 people in the context of billions of people around the world, and the reality of it is that the people who are contracting this disease, it is such a small number of people. Like if this thing was really serious and really contagious and really deadly and all that kind of stuff,
Ebola deadly. Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't just be, the one guy who comes out from China that went to Canberra, and the one guy that went to Melbourne, and a couple of people that went to Sydney that have the disease. It would be 30 or 40 or 80 or 90 people that were on the airplane with them. It'd be air hostesses. It would be, and then they would be infecting other people on other flights.
Right.
So you would be talking, if this thing really was, highly contagious or highly deadly, or was being spread, and it was something to be majorly concerned about, there would be tens of thousands of people who are infected with it, because it emanated out of China, and because there is so much movement around the world now. And it does actually beg the question. I was talking about this with someone to get offline before. Do we need to actually put a moratorium on people's movement around the planet and implement some kind of a quarantine system? We do it with animals.
Right. No, I know.
Do we need to quarantine people, or
Well, that's
especially
funny,
people who are coming from toxic areas like China?
Well, we're going to get into that because there has been several bills passed and executive orders passed in times in the past that have okay that to happen, or that authorize that to happen. And for the UN, like Joy Unspeakable, which is my buddy Dave was saying earlier, was that the UN now could get in. There's a potential for. I don't think it's going to get to that, but it makes me wonder if that's what they're not training us and getting us in the mindset of getting ready for. The UN could come in and quarantine, at least in the United States, start to quarantine people under executive orders given under some of these executive orders. They have the right to come in and quarantine you and effectively put in a martial law type enactment under a national emergency like this. So yes, that has potentiality. Potentially has potentiality. Maybe I don't know.
I know. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And that opens up some fearful new avenues for our world of sort of corrupt, power-hungry bastards to go down, doesn't it?
Right.
I would say sorry, Cindy, but she's gone. So, look.
So so back on the 23rd, I'm just kind of going through some of these things as it chronologically progressed. Back on the 23rd, so we're 2 days ago, it says the World Health Organization put out an update, right? And this guy retweeted it, but basically it said, breaking, no evidence of human-to-human virus spread outside of China. So that was 2 days ago. They were telling us don't worry, there's no spread outside of China. It's contained within Wuhan. You don't have to worry about anything. And then in this beautiful little page, which I'm going to blow up right here so it's easier to see what we're talking about. In this little beautiful, you see that regions with confirmed cases. Right here, where's Wuhan at? Wuhan's right here, right in the middle, if you guys can see my cursor. And look where it has spread out to, all the way over through China and all the way up. Now, again, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal, this virus. But how come we're making such a big deal out of something that really isn't that big of a deal? There is one thing I heard on one of the articles I read that said that they have fear of it being able to mutate. And there is no cure, there is no vaccine for it, and that it could mutate, right? So... That
is a risk with any kind of a virus like this.
Exactly.
That the pathways for mutation are huge.
Right.
So, but you have a look at that and you say, well, obviously, what we were told by the UN was not true. Right? Geez, what a surprise! The UN misinformed us. That's never happened before.
The World Health Organization. The UN.
The World Health Organization.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That was my point on this one. Is that they say they come out and tell you, don't worry. It's been contained to China, and China, they later said, and Wuhan and the surrounding areas, it's been contained to that. It hasn't spread throughout China. Then all of a sudden, this information comes out that it's spread all over China, right, even up to Beijing. And then that day after the World Health Organization told us it's been contained, all of a sudden these cases started popping up in the United States, in Australia, in Mexico, all over the place. So France. It's like they're lying to us. And they're going to lie to you. Your government doesn't tell you the truth. They don't want to tell you the truth because the truth is scary sometimes, I guess. And because a lot of times they're behind some nefarious crap. So they're not only not telling you the truth, they're telling you the exact opposite because they want to keep you in the dark. But
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that pretty much everybody at the moment agrees on, that we're not being told the truth about the beer flu. It's just the speculating about the why, isn't it? We all know that what we're being told, we're being lied to, that the narrative's bullshit. Oh,
sorry about that. That's why I had that thing shut off. My God, sorry. Yeah, no, it's because they don't. Sorry to cut you off on that. My bad.
No, you're right. I'm kind of used to you doing that to me now,
Screwing
mate.
up a little bit, yeah, and being like, okay, shut up, man.
No. Whenever I'm talking, you cut me off. It's all good. I want to go back to something that Rob said before. He said, it was a really good point. I'm just trying to find it here in the. Oh, here we go. A question for you both. Assuming the government is telling the truth about the beer flu, how much freedom should a government be allowed to take to restrict people's rights to stop an outbreak? And I think that's an interesting question.
It
Like,
is an interesting
do we?
question.
If you have just say, for example, that Ebola turned into a sexy new disease that actually had an incubation period of say 6 weeks,
and was and could be transmitted airborne transmission.
Yep.
Ooh, that would be scary.
So in a situation like that, I have to admit that my desire not to have my internal organs just melting away before my bleeding eyeballs is the kind of thing that I would probably say to the government. Yeah, I think it's time that you just all of the airports stop now.
Yeah.
And you shut down all travel. Nobody's coming in, nobody's going out. Well, if they go out, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
And we continue doing that until the eyeball bleeding stops, because I don't want bleeding eyes. I think that would be unpleasant, man. That's going to hurt.
When you start bleeding out your orifices, your eyeballs, your ears, your butthole, your penis hole, your vajayjay hole, that's a bad day.
It is.
And it's a 90% kill ratio. And then the drugs you got to take to get healed from it are going to give you long-lasting side effects and problems. That's a bad virus, man.
Yeah,
to go
I think the only drug I'd be taking is magic mushies and just trying to pretend it wasn't happening until I keeled over.
Oh yeah, I might take a little vitamin 9mm, little dose of 9mm vitamin, man, on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like that is, and here's the funny part. That's the apocalypse. Like when we talk about with The Walking Dead, right? Or you watch these post-apocalyptic shows and they're so exciting, and you see the zombies, and I always think, dude, the zombies are moving slow. It'd be easy to stay alive, right? The first couple seasons are about the zombies. The next few seasons are not about the zombies. The zombies are not the issue. It is the anarchy that kills people, right? It is the breakdown of society. And when we're going to touch on a couple points here in a minute, that's what they say is one of the most worrisome things about some of these pandemics. Again, this pandemic, it's a flu, guys. Old people and young people die when they get bad flus, right? And that's a sad thing, but it's also kind of nature's way of thinning the herd. And I that's terrible to say if someone that you know's died from the flu. That's heartbreaking, right? But it's not like if you catch this flu, you're all going to die. And I watched this Netflixing I'm going to talk about in a second, and they talked about in the 1900s when the flu came, it wiped out all these people. I'm like, well, that was the 1900s when we didn't have running water, right? And we didn't have the health condition. We didn't have the technology, and we didn't have the understanding of biomedical care that we have now. So, number one, it's not going to be the same thing that it was then, right? But they talk about the breakdown of society being a problem, and that part catches me and goes, yeah, that could get a little fugly when you start having panic hitting the streets and anarchy breaking out. Because when anarchy breaks out, that's your real problem. With the nuclear war, you can survive the fallout if you're not in the direct blast of it. But when society breaks down, right, and you have anarchy on the streets, that's when shit gets real. That's when the shit gets real.
Yeah, when it gets to the point where your life sort of depends on your ability to accumulate resources to yourself and to the people that you have under your protection, like us, obviously we're going to be the alphas, so we're going to be the ones that are going to be out there. I ain't going to be no beta for no one, man.
No, that's true.
If we're in that situation and, when I see some little squiggly runt out there who's just trying to take the food that I want, it's not going to go well for him. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it's going to be like, and obviously, like, I'm not as young as I used to be, so there were going to be people who are in their 20s and 30s who are going to look at me and go, yeah, I can take it. It's just going to be the old silverback gorilla thing, and in that competition for resources, like in cities, when the shit hits the fan, a city is going to be the absolute worst place to be, because if you're stuck in the middle of a city, man, there ain't no way out. You've got to make it on foot. It's not like the streets are going to be open for you to get out.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's going to be really bad. Like, and I see it as being inevitable. And I think we've talked about this before. You know, there is an inevitability to the collapse of the West now.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
it's just a matter of where we are and what our odds of survival are.
Yeah.
I
And
know
there's
where I'm
half
going
of,
when the
half of the
shotties are
West population is cheering it and is cheering it on and encouraging
Yeah.
it to happen. That's the sad effed up part about the whole thing, right? We're encouraging these. Let's bring in all the immigrants from down south in these third world countries that have the plague and these other terrible diseases that are coming in. Let's just let them in and let's let all the homeless on the streets that are creating new plagues in our first world cities, you know what I mean, and that are causing these third world, ancient black, dark age diseases make a comeback, It is insanity, man. Okay, so here, to give a gravity
we've got,
hang on,
I was just going to say, we've
Go
actually
ahead.
got a couple of diseases here in Australia that come from people crapping on the ground now.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
have
and
that here
they're
too.
Chinese-based diseases, and people have died from them, right? And like that's just not a thing that look. We gave up on crapping on the
Welcome
streets.
to San Francisco. I took a poo in San Francisco. I got to finish that parody and put it up, man.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah, that was good.
I got to get back to my parodies. I have a list of them that I've been wanting to nail out, that's definitely one of them. It says, Dave says, Bill Burr has been calling for this for 3 Netflix specials now. Oh, that's so funny.
I like Bill.
Yeah.
Bill Burr, he's good.
He is good. It's so this is how deep this went, right? That's what she said. That's what he said. No, I don't have to apologize. Cindy left the chat. They canceled this is all stuff you guys probably know, but they canceled the Lunar New Year in China, which is akin to canceling Christmas in America. So think about that. This is such a big deal to them, or they're making such a big deal out. And this is the other question I have: are we being told the truth? Because we know we know China. Google helped China lock it down, but we know this heavy censorship of China. When they lock something down, they lock something down, right? So do we really know how deadly or potentially deadly this is? I don't think it is. I think this is a precursor for a drill, or they're trying to warm us up to something. It's some sort of a false flag about to happen. I can take the big tech algorithm. Thank you, great informer. But anyways, it is such a big deal over there that they canceled Christmas. I'm just going to put it to us English speaking people for the most part. They canceled Christmas because this was so bad. Can you imagine if they did that here? They locked down cities. You weren't allowed to leave or go from your city. They said, sorry, we're locking down the airports. Christmas is canceled because of this. That's kind of a big deal to me, that you think about why it's such a big deal for something that doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
That's sense? Right. Yeah. There's this gross disparity between the reality and the narrative, and so and the reaction in China. Like that is the bit when we talk about that. That is the bit that I find most concerning because, the Chinese. I don't want to cast aspersions, but they are kind of a little bit ambivalent about human life.
Right.
They're quite happy to throw a few away.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that's a harsh thing, but that is just it's just the way things have gone there. You have a look at the history of China, and cannibalism is one of the things that has been prevalent in their culture for a very long time. When the situation has arisen, if there's a bit of a food shortage, people start getting chomped on, right? So they have a different idea. They don't sort of have that sanctity of human life, Christian ideal that we sort of have embedded in Western ways of thinking, right?
Right.
So when they act in a way that appears to be over the top, for something that appears to be so small, again, only 41 people around the world have died.
Right.
Why would you take these drastic measures for something that appears to be so innocuous?
Yeah.
That's the bit that concerns me. That in terms of like what we're actually being lied about is that the disease is significantly more deadly, or it is in some way worse. The only other option, as I said before, is it is actually a biological or chemical weapon that's been created by the Chinese. It's accidentally got out, and they're trying to cover it up.
Yeah. No, it's it makes you really makes you wonder on this. It says so. I'm going to get into some weird things now. Now we're going to get into some of these weird points about this that I think are very conspiratorial, but very interesting to talk about. But let's recap. CDC estimates 50,000 people die each year from the flu. Okay, so why the hysteria and the wall-to-wall coverage of these 40 deaths? Are we about to be sold a new vaccine? Is it a dry run for something bigger coming? Is it a drill? Are they lying to us about the actual numbers to contain the mass hysteria? And if so, if that is what they're doing, then why the constant media coverage, right? It doesn't kind of totally make sense. But when this all broke a couple days ago, I came home for dinner and my wife threw on, and she kind of knew about it, but didn't really, because she's working with kids all day, and I'm just kind of a news nerd, right? So I'm always looking at the news. She threw on, we're sitting down for dinner, and she threw on this new Netflix special, right? And this Netflix special was just released, and it's a docu-series on pandemics. And what's so interesting about this, I'm going to pull this little article up here. What's so interesting about this is that this docu-series, the first one talks about the coronavirus. They talk about the coronavirus in this and how a pandemic can spread, and they followed all of these health workers and people who track these and how they manage them and control them and whatnot. And so this Netflix special drops at the same time a real world pandemic is dropping, right? A pandemic that, again, is not that big of in the bigger scheme of things, like we've been talking about, is not that big of a deal, right? So I find that like incredibly interesting, right? It says, I'll read a couple clips of this article. It says, when we talk about another flu pandemic happening, Dr. Dennis Corral, director of USAID's Emerging Threat Unit, says that the first trailer for Netflix's upcoming docuseries, Pandemic, How to Prevent an Outbreak, it's not a matter of if, but when. On Wednesday, Netflix unveiled the first trailer for its frighteningly relevant new 6-episode docuseries, Pandemic. Traverse the globe to explore the prospective sources that could cause the next devastating flu epidemic, the worldwide healthcare preparations or lack thereof in place to combat it, and the cutting-edge medical research that it's taking to race to prevent it. Now, as we think about this and we talk about this, lately, in the last year especially, anti-vaxxers have been coming out. Like here in Oregon, you have to have your kids. It is mandated that unless you homeschool, you are mandated to have all of your kids vaccinated for a whole slew of crap, right? And there's a group of people that are saying, no, we don't believe in vaccinations. And then this person uses this example saying that you have an intersection. You have one person that's vaccinated and one person that's not. And the reason we should all vaccinate is because this one person runs a stop sign and T-bones this other car, right? And now this unvaccinated person is hitting a person that's vaccinated, or vice versa, right? And my question to you is this: if you're that argument didn't ring true to me, because I just a quick thought of that analogy goes, well, if you're vaccinated and you get hit by somebody who isn't vaccinated, you're vaccinated. What are you worried about?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You're
worried about. You got nothing to worry about. So
why if the vaccination works, then you're not going to get the disease. And if the vaccination doesn't work, there's no point getting it.
Exactly. And all the other shit that goes into these vaccinations, we just are supposed to trust our government and these biomedical companies that are putting all this stuff in there for profit and for everything else, where even though they claim it's for humanity, right? But and like we've talked about, the flu changes every single year. It mutates every year. So you can get a flu shot and still get the flu. And a lot of people get the flu from the flu shot, right? I have never had a flu shot. I have never had a flu shot. I have never been vaccinated, and I have one of the strongest immune systems. I barely got this last flu that went around, this last cold, and I had it. Many people who get this have it for like 2 weeks. I had it for 2 days, and it didn't hit me very hard, and I had it for 2 days, and I was done, and I was over. And that was the first time I'd been even remotely sick in the last 4 or 5 years. And my wife runs a daycare center where she gets sick every year. She also doesn't get one. But she gets over it. Excuse me.
I'm not sick.
Bullshit.
No. Hey man, there's a bit of blood dribbling out your eyes, man.
Yeah.
You right there?
Yeah. Robert, call in, man. Call on in, dude. You got the number. Call on in. But yeah, so you getting vaccinated for something that's changing every year. So why get vaccinated for it? What is really in these vaccinations? And there is a lot of very good information that proves these vaccinations do more harm, even with like autism rates spiking through the roof. So I have a lot of questions and a lot of concerns about vaccinations. And now you are being forced, again, going back to liberty and freedom in America, you are being forced in this free country that we live in that if you want your kids in a public school, you must get them vaccinated. So this whole vaccine,
which is actually a really good reason not to vaccinate, because why would you want your kids in a public school? But I have to say, can I just interrupt and just say, like, there was a few years ago, I was working in a sort of a reasonably big kind of a work environment. You know, there was like probably, I don't know, about maybe 90 to 100 people in this place, and we'd all kind of discussed the idea of getting the flu shot. And this is serious, right? The people who got the flu shot were the people who got the flu.
right?
100% of the people that got the flu shot got the flu, and 100% of the people that didn't get the flu shot didn't get the flu.
Right.
So how well does it work? You know, look, because there were quite a few of us who were sitting around just having a beer, talking about it, going, yeah, that seems a little bit odd. You know,
Yeah.
everyone that got the flu shot got the flu. Everyone that didn't get the flu shot didn't get the flu. Why would you get the flu shot? What's
Yeah.
the point?
Exactly.
It's clearly not working.
So,
But yeah, look, I mean, it's obvious that that these vaccinations have helped us to eliminate quite a few diseases.
yes, right.
But at the same time, if you look at the history of the pharmaceutical companies, I wouldn't trust them as far as I could kick them when we were both wearing concrete boots,
Yeah.
because you just have a look at the history of pharmaceuticals and their work in Ivan Farben in Germany in the
Mhm.
1930s and 40s, and you know, they were working with the Nazis and they were helping to fund
Yeah.
various things that were going on. You know, so it's not like these people have a good history. You look at the history of things like you know, the pill that was being tested on women, I think was it Costa Rica, and that just the hideous abuses that they were being subjected to there, and then you got thalidomide, and you got DDT,
Yeah,
and you got all these other things. So that they are not inherently trustworthy individuals. So
No, not at all.
yeah, you know, I'm ambivalent about the vaccinations. I want to know what's in them,
Yeah.
and I want to be able to trust the people that are doling these things out. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
we can't. G'day, Rob. How you going, mate?
Hey, what's up,
Hey, man.
Robert?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm a little inebriated, so I just got.
I'm excited about that. Can you move your
I was
camera to your left or your right a little bit so I don't have to
Yeah.
readjust? It's a slight
Mhm.
adjustment.
What do
The other
what
way.
do you
Other
get?
way. There we go. Yeah,
There
there
we
we go.
go.
Perfect. That way I don't
Yeah.
have to adjust.
So I don't know where I don't know how it is where you all are from, but here in rural Pennsylvania, I feel like once you turn 50, you get picked up by a van and they teach you how to play horseshoes and shuffleboard, because I just got smoked by some older gentlemen at shuffleboard. So thanks for having me.
Hey,
though. I
but
appreciate
the
it.
upside of that is that those guys are going to die sooner from the flu. So
That's right.
You know what I mean?
The coronavirus will get them first.
The coronavirus is coming for them next. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we just talked about the Netflix thing that I thought was interesting, and now we're going to get a little more conspiratorial and weird on this next article that we look at. Are you aware, as I move back over to this segment here, are you aware that John Hopkins just did an exercise? I got to get there we go. John Hopkins just did an exercise 3 months ago, and in which they were saying how to respond to a pandemic. Guess what the pandemic was? 3 months ago in New York, John Hopkins University, the coronavirus. This happened 3 months ago. One of the clips from there says, for them in the article, it says, for its most recent exercise called Event 201, which was held in New York City in October, the Center for Health Security partnered with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which they are psychos. They think we need to depopulate the world, and yet these are the philanthropists that are trying to help save people's lives. Doesn't really make sense. But anyways, Gates Foundation to engage 15 leaders in business, government, and public health to model response to a worldwide coronavirus pandemic. At the start of the exercise, the world was 3 months in, and there were already more than 500,000 cases globally. Now, here's where it gets kind of interesting. Who was on the guest list for this Event 201? The United Nations, the China Center for Disease Control, the World Bank, and here's the kicker, the CIA were all in attendance for this.
All that tells me is that it was a very legitimate, because all of those are upstanding and honest and good organizations that you could completely trust to put your life in their hands.
Absolutely.
If you're an idiot.
Freaking if you are an idiot, you could do that. Absolutely.
And this is my feeling on it. I'm not an expert in that type of stuff, like necessarily the conspiracy stuff. My wife says I'm not an expert in anything, but what I feel is this: it's their fault for lying to us all the time. Like
right.
we get lied to by these agencies, whether it be the FBI, the CIA, even health agencies. We're lied to over and over. Remember? Thanks. We still have fluoride in our water, right? Like
Right.
they lied to us about that for years. They can't get it right in Flint, Michigan. They lied to us about that. So is it any wonder that people like us that are independent thinkers say, listen, we don't trust you. And if even, let's say they're right this time, that's not our fault that we don't trust them. That's
Right.
their fault. And it just goes to show there are unintended consequences to being a corrupt agency like this and lying to us over and over again, whether it be vaccines, whether it be the coronavirus specific situations. I don't believe a word they say ever, period. That's my
Right.
goal.
No.
Yeah, no, I think we all agree on that one, and that is the problem, because I mean, SJG, this whole thing that we've been doing here, we believe that we're being lied to about this coronavirus. I don't think that that's under dispute. The thing that we're disputing really, or the thing that we're discussing really, is what is the nature of the lie? What is the intent of the lie? Are they trying to mask something? Like, is the virus much worse than we're being told, or is this covering up something that's going on somewhere else? Is there, is this just a thing to go, oh, look at the pretty bauble over here while there's something bad going on over there? I mean, the one thing that I think we're all agreed on is we're not being told the truth.
Yeah.
We're being lied to again, and it is sad, like. And one day, I think you're right, Rob, one day they are going to be telling us the truth about something, but we're going to be going, all I'm hearing is you guys going, wolf, wolf.
Right.
And we're not going to listen.
Yeah, we'll read this one. Check this out. The United Nations role in the Ebola plot is coming into clear focus. This is a guy who from the Common Sense Show submitted this, Dave Hodges, on Thursday, January 2nd. It says, in part one of this series, a strong case was made that the powers that be plan to unleash Ebola and profit on the process. The players in the plot happen to be the CDC and the FDA and other related entities, i.e. Bill and Melinda Gates, most of all, and the UN. Before going on, it's critical to understand the overthrow of the U.S. is the goal. We're going to get into a little conspiratorial stuff here, but I don't think it's that conspiratorial. It says, for the New World Order to become the sole ruling authority, it is critical that the United States government is collapsed. As we have covered in the past 2 weeks on the CSS, the deep state is trying to start a brush wars. Through gun confiscation efforts. Interesting, right? That he's talking about that right now with what's gone on in Virginia. However, drone roadblocks. However, a total destabilizing agent must be employed, and the most effective is a bioagent. Ebola is taking shape as that bioagent. Remember, a bioattack, and he's focusing on Ebola, which luckily right now is only spread through, human contact type of a thing, where fluids you can't do it airborne. But how long is that going to be the case, right? Ebola is taking shape as that bioagent. Remember, a bioattack is the most debilitating agent that would dismantle a country, short of a nuclear attack, which would destroy a country, which is not the goal. Current CDC policies are simply expanding the power of medical martial law, and when one examines the fine points, it's a license to remove undesirables, deplorables, and political opponents from society that can do so under the guise of protecting the public. This is where the America will truly learn at finer points of FM 39.4, i.e. the FEMA camps, as the issue of medical martial law was decided under the Obama administration. The deep state plan is simple: create chaos from gun confiscation efforts conducted in blue states, and then destabilize the country through a bioattack. Following the bioattack, this article will make it clear that the UN will be ready to assume control. A civil war is the most likely outcome, and that is if the bioattack can be contained. The United Nations and FEMA camp regulations. It says the issue that is being described in this series was decided in 2014 when the CDC enacted new pandemic policies. The new policies are draconian, and they represent the backdoor implementation of martial law and the removal of undesirables. As previously referenced multiple times on the Common Sense Show, that thanks to Obama, the United Nations can unilaterally impose a state of medical martial law and assume control. In fact, the smoking resettlement regulations, FEMA Camp Army regulations, known as FM 3-39.401-5, states that foreign troops will eventually occupy FEMA camps, referred to as resettlement camps. This section of the paper is the smoking gun for medical martial law as per the UN takeover of handling of a medical crisis. I found that pretty interesting with what is, to add that in, and I don't want to read the whole article, but to add that into how much it's being pushed worldwide right now on us of this little flu pandemic. Is it a pre-programming? Does that make sense? Is it kind of a pre-programming taking place of what, of getting us all... I don't know.
Just before Rob speaks, can I just say something? You said right back at the start, you think that it's considered a bit conspiratorial to say that there's an attempt to overthrow the US. I don't think it's a conspiracy at all. The United States is a home of freedom. Anybody who wants power, what do they want to do? They want to take away your freedom. That's what power is about. Power is eliminating your freedom. It's not the power to have, to have everybody being free. That's not the system that we're under at the moment. Right? That the power that's being used at the moment by various groups around the world is aimed at eliminating freedom.
Right.
The only way you do that is eliminating the US Constitution, as I see it. But the United States is going to be the only place where freedom will be permitted soon. And it's not going to be permitted because the people who have power want that freedom. It's because it's in the Constitution. They haven't destroyed it yet. So I don't think that's a conspiracy at all. And in terms of the medical pandemic and the medical the UN sort of stepping in, that's a scary but a realistic prospect. I had heard a little bit of a whisper about Obama setting something like that up, but I didn't actually know it had been verified. So that is actually true.
Yeah.
The UN, they can come in and set up like a medical martial law, and it's done using foreign troops on US soil. Am I getting that right?
Well, and Robert might speak to this in a second more because I'm sure he maybe has a little knowledge on this. But yes, I've heard of that for years. And when you look into some of these, executive orders and whatnot that are buried deep within the bureaucratic paperwork, there is those authorizations for the UN in an emergency situation to come in and to help, where the National Guard would be overran, where the UN can come in and send troops in to help restore order. And why would we think it's it couldn't happen here? We're in our mind, we think it couldn't. Or it wouldn't, but you look at all over the world, the UN goes into all over these different places and helps to correlate
with their peacekeepers.
Yeah,
and of course you have a look at what happened in Virginia, where one of the lead cops came out and said, well, if these laws are enacted, they won't be enforced because they violate our Constitution.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a problem that the UN would have to overcome in their attempt to take away freedom in America. Is that American police and the American law enforcement just simply, there would be too many of them who would say, no, this is not constitutional, we're not going ahead with it. So this sort of this way of letting them in, letting the UN in with non-American troops via a pandemic, it actually seems like a very nice, tidy way to get done what they are desperate to do and will not be able to do any other way.
Yeah,
it's actually scary. I'm going to have to look into this because. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Rob, you've been silent there for a while. Unusually,
I'm enjoying listening to you guys. I'm a little drunk, so maybe I should say something. But no, I mean, there's several things to say about that. One is, look, first off, there's so many conspiracy theories, quote, I don't mean that in a bad way, that you can talk about with this type of thing. And I'm not willing to discredit or to make fun of anyone for believing any of this stuff, because the official narrative that we're told about the most important prisoner in the history of our country, Jeffrey Epstein, is that he killed himself while cameras malfunctioned, while guards fell asleep, while the old footage, et cetera, et cetera. So, if more than half our country is willing to believe that, I'm certainly willing to believe, entertain the idea of all this other stuff. And clearly, look, if you were just take all ideas of your government possibly being nefarious out of it, if you were to be attacked by an outside agent, clearly bioweapons would be the way to go about it. Because if you're attacked by a chemical or a nuclear agent, it is clear that you've been attacked. But you could be attacked by a contagion and have no idea that you've been attacked. Not only do you not know where it came from, you literally don't know if it's an attack. It is entirely plausible that it could have been a natural occurrence.
Plausible deniability.
Right. And when you look at how our government already takes advantage of things that there are naturally that's true, like such as climate change. Look, climate is changing, no doubt, and humans have something to do with it, no doubt. Now, that's the end of the consensus. How bad is it? How much can we solve it? Et cetera, et cetera. We can talk about that. But they've realized, because that's, quote, a natural occurrence, that's the best boogeyman they have to take away our rights. Because if you say the evil Russians are out to get us, most people see through that crap. They're come on. The Russians aren't out to get us like that. But when you say it's the environment, the same with the bio attack, people that would be incredibly distrusting of the government in any scenario will be willing to voluntarily give up their rights if it means keeping them safe from some sort of bio agent. So I don't know. And again, the tragedy of this is, I just did a debate last night with someone This person was arguing we should literally have the government censor anyone who endorses anything that he considers a socialist policy, such as Medicare for all. So this person advocates the government's literally like, you can't even on this YouTube channel say, hey, I think Medicare for all is a good idea. And he says it's because we're all going to be locked in FEMA camps. And, who am I to tell him he's wrong? I think he's wrong. But in a world where we see that the government lies to us over and over, when they could spy on the president of the United States and have their mainstream media and propagandists argue that it was totally justified, and to even question it's hurting America, that's the unintended consequences. I mean, imagine just this. Imagine that you go to your doctor with the flu and you know that your doctor's basically seeking to strip you of your rights. How the hell are you going to know what to do to get yourself healthy? Well, that's the situation we're in when it comes to our federal government and the agencies. I don't know what the answer is. I hope that these conspiracy theories aren't true, but God knows they don't have our best interests at heart. That's certainly true.
Yeah, well, just a better analogy with going to the doctor. You go to see your doctor because you're sick, and you know that your doctor is taking kickbacks from medical companies to prescribe certain drugs to people, whether you need them or not. Suddenly, you cannot trust your doctor any longer that the cure that he's offering you is in fact a cure for your ills or a cure for the hole in his bank account that he wants to fill. And that's the problem that we have now. There is so much corruption that is going on that we no longer can trust that government is doing anything other than acting in its vested interest, usually against ours. Because I don't think anybody thinks that you go back even further. I'm not sure that anybody thinks that any of the trade deals that were signed by any Western country between, say, 1985 and 2016 when Donald Trump got elected was working in the best interests of the workers of Western countries.
Right.
Do they? They were all terrible. So we know that our governments will act against our best interests.
Right.
It's what are they working for? That's the stuff that we don't know. There's too much information that is missing for us. So all we can do is speculate. But it's certainly not.
Maybe you can speak to this, SJG. One of the things I've been dealing with a lot of people talking with online about the Virginia rally, which it ties into this, believe it, once you hear this, is they're like, hey, we should have went in guns a-blazing. They should have stormed Northam's mansion. It was cowardly for them not to do so.
Yeah,
nothing's changed. We find ourselves, people like me, you, and Rational, we find ourselves in this position where truly, I think I can speak for you guys, and I think you'll agree with me here. We're not interested in like some revolution or bloodshed, or we're not concerned about our side winning. We just want what's best for the people, for our country, for the people. We want a government that looks out for the people.
Yeah.
And how do you toe that fine line from saying, well, on one hand, we know the government's corrupt and they basically could care less about us. But on the other hand, we shouldn't go too far to say, well, now's the time to enact crazy violence because the coronavirus is going to kill us all, or because Governor Northam is going to take all our guns. It's so hard of a position to find yourself in.
I think that position organically sorts itself out. I don't think, and I heard some of the patriots that I really respect and I like say that, hey, we should have went in guns a-blazing, we were too soft, all that stuff. I'm like, no, time out. This was the first one where we came out and we were like, hey, we're here. All 50,000, the media reported 22, is probably closer to 50,000. But let's just split the difference. All 30,000 of us are here, and we're letting you know we have our guns. We don't believe in your rules. We're making a peaceful public stand right now to let you know this won't stand. We heard cops coming out and saying we won't enforce them. We heard, we saw black and brown and all these different people coming out and saying we believe in the Second Amendment. United we stand. This is bull. We came out peacefully and we gave him the message. Now, his rebuttal to us was a big F you. They passed these laws anyways, and then they doubled down on some laws. So the next step, I think the way we do it is we have an abundance of patience. But when it finally comes to them knocking on our door, when we've made our stance very clear, when we've made our position very well known that we will not lay down, then it comes to possibly bullets. And that's when the shit really hits the fan and people unite. And at that point, they will have unleashed the Kraken, if you will, that they didn't want to unleash. And they'll realize that there was a bad decision. But I don't think that we pussed out and we should have went in. I don't take that position personally. I think this was the first good step to uniting a peaceful, rally that says, "Hey, we're here." Better believe it. We went out of our way to come from all over the country. It wasn't just Virginians, all over the country to support this. We won't stand for this. They got the message, but old Blackface thinks that he's going to push it a step further. And so I don't know. We'll see. But if it comes to that, it won't be a good day for the traders. That's for sure.
Yeah, and just to throw in my perspective on that as an Aussie, I think I'm quite happy for people to believe what they want, and yes, I absolutely believe that the government is corrupt, and I'm prepared to use every sort of legal means that is available to me to try to change our system in any way that I can to make it better. Because as Rob said, I'm all about helping the Australian people, but I'm also about I like Donald Trump's thing. He's there to help the Americans, but not at the expense of everybody else. And
Right.
I'm kind of the same. I'm not saying that we should only help Australia and exploit the rest of the world. I'm saying that we try to help Australia and we try to take the world with us. We try to make a better world for everybody, right? Put it philosophically, the maximal good by the maximal number, right? That's what I'm about when it comes to politics. And so when it comes to, where you draw the line between going along with the system that you believe is corrupt or invoking a violent revolution, it kind of comes down to that thing of, there is a point where my life is directly placed in threat.
Mhm.
That is the point at which I would say, okay, now I need to retaliate. And at
Right.
that point, that is where you sort of step over that line. Up until then, I think you try to do everything legally. You try to be as ethical and as moral and as good and everything as you can be, and you try to be the light. You try to be that positive example to the people around you, so that they will look at that and go, well, I'd rather be that than be
Right.
these numpties that are out there crapping on the streets and
And
rioting and doing the insane stuff.
I
That-
think I think it was better for, like you're saying, it was better for our narrative to say, because everyone thought you were going to have these hillbilly rednecks, militiamen coming in guns a-blazing, and they came in the most calm, the most clean, the most respectful people, and said, this is really who we are. Yeah, we're standing up for our right and our gun rights, and we're bringing our weapons, and we're marching around the city. We're open carrying, but we don't want war. We don't want it. But if you bring it, we are not backing down. Believe that right now. So
Yeah,
I think it was the
and-
perfect way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And even, some of the commentators on CNN were a little bit blown away by just how nice and friendly and peaceful these guys were, but how they were absolutely firm in saying there is a line. You cross that line, and this is what you're going to get coming at you. And the gloves are off then, right? But until then, we're nice, we're friendly, we're polite. We're telling you who we are. We're telling you what we want. We want to be left alone. We want to be able to live our lives, right?
Right.
If you stop that, then we will fight to the death, basically, to protect. So it's not an aggressive war from us. It's a protective thing.
Yeah.
Right? We will fight to protect what we value. We don't value your eradication or elimination the way that you value ours.
Right.
You want us gone.
Right.
We don't want you gone. We want you to leave us alone. And I think that is really the point. We're not going to fight an aggressive war. It's not a territorial war that we're fighting. It's a defensive, maintain this line, and I think that's a difference.
So let's wrap that. Great thoughts, great discussion on that. Let me just sum up back to point on this coronavirus, and then we're going to go to the next segment here. It's, just summing this up, the coronavirus had a patent. I'll just throw this up. I'm not going to read it, but the coronavirus was patented in 2015. There's the patent on it right there. So in 2015, it was patented, right? Comes out of nowhere in the last 1 to 2 weeks. Massive preparatory media coverage despite low infection rate at the time and still very low death count at the time, 25 at the time of this, when I wrote that out. And then John Hopkins Unity had been preparing for months. Event 21 partnered with Bill and Melinda Gates and World Economic Forum. Netflix is in production for months, releases the new special right on time. There's been constantly recently the denigration of the vaccine skeptics, right? The promotion of the Bill and Gates Foundation. And you immediately get the Spanish flu comparison from the get-go narrative that has been static for so long. And the Spanish flu now comes up and it hits you, we're getting hit with all this. All of that, to me, sums up to say we're not being told the full story on this. There's something in the works. It's some sort of psychological programming, disinformation. Something's going on, and we just need to keep our eye on it and be aware, because this isn't what the news media and the mainstream is going to tell you. And this is why our channels and channels like ours, people may laugh at them, people may mock them, conspiracy theorists, or these little we're wannabes, whatever. I don't care what people say about that. We're the ones speaking this truth. Whether or not everything I said was true or not, we're the one presenting this other side of the or perspective on it that says, hey, don't just
We're asking the questions.
Yeah, we're asking the questions. Like, we don't know what's going on, but what you're telling us sure as shit doesn't add up. Doesn't add up to what should be getting this kind of coverage and this kind of, constant, coverage. So
yeah, which is also why, of course, YouTube want us shut down, because we are the people who ask the questions. We are the people who look to see what's going on behind the news, and we do discuss these issues, and that's not what's wanted.
we're
Again,
the ones
it's an attack on freedom. That's right. Yes, we are radicalizing people to think. For God's sake, inside the human brain, inside the human skull, is the most complex arrangement of matter in the known universe.
Yeah.
And most people just let that thing atrophy and rot. And as someone who studied philosophy for years, I find that objectionable and offensive.
Yeah.
Think, you idiots! It's not that hard.
It's not that.
And
hard.
it's not a matter. Look, and again, I can't say I could prove everything that we were discussing here. That's fine. There's reasonable discussion. But what's stark is that you could see the people that mock you the most and claim that you should not be part of the discussion are literally the people that believe the most insane conspiracy theories, like Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, or like the FBI is this totally noble organization that did nothing wrong.
Right.
So I'll listen to someone say, hey, I think you've gone too far. I don't think there's proof for this, blah, blah, blah. I'll listen to an individual person. I will not listen to the people that believe that garbage, that believe the establishment is always right. I'm not going to listen to them. They've lost all credibility. So their attacks on us, like, how dare you question this? Sorry, I'm not interested in those.
Yeah,
that's right. There are just too many things that we have been told over too long a period of time that have turned out to be bollocks. The weapons of mass destruction that started the whole Middle Eastern debacle that we've got going on now. It's been a constant barrage of disinformation, misinformation, outright lies, and that you have to listen to what they say. I think, especially when it comes to a situation like this, you want to listen to what they say, but you want to do the research. You want to go looking as much as you can for any kind of primary document that you can. And that's why I love you, Rob. I think you're great, because you do that. You will go, you dig right into the primary sources. Look, when it came to the Robert Mueller and the Russia collusion, that kind of thing, and it was great because I could go and have a look at what you were saying, and there's just primary source documents, and it's fantastic, and that's what we need to be doing. And I think that's, again, as SJ said, that's the value of what we do. Is we do look behind just the flagrant BS that we're being given. We look behind the smoke screen. We're looking to see what's there, and I think that's invaluable. We need a lot more of it.
Absolutely. And let me ask you this, SJG, maybe you can comment on this. How much of it do you think is that it's scary? Like, I think there are a lot of people that are intelligent enough to look into these questions, but it is a scary thought to think like, oh my God, is these agencies that, for example, the FBI, think of the importance of the FBI. Think of the importance of the CDC to protect us from contagions. The FBI is supposedly protecting us from terrorism, protecting us from child sex predators, etc. We can go on and on. To think that maybe they don't have our best interests in heart. Do you think there's a lot of people that are unwilling to look a little deeper, because it's a scary thing, right?
Yeah. No, I think it is. If your government's lying to you, there's cognitive dissonance that just runs deep, man. And this whole fake news narrative that's been pushed out, people don't really understand where that really came from. It's because there's too much cognitive dissonance in their brains to realize the people who are speaking the truth, and to realize that your government doesn't always have your best interest at heart. Your government is lying to you for other reasons, and for maybe sometimes noble reasons. I'm not going to say we should always be told the flat honest truth, because sometimes as in A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth, right? Maybe that's in some degree there's something to be said or argued about that. But the fact of the matter is, They don't tell us the truth. And so there's that cognitive dissonance that if people realized that and really started looking into some of these things, it would shake their whole worldview and they'd have to reevaluate everything. And they don't want to do that. So they just want their phone, they want their TV, they want their nice little social media, they want their nice little, but they want to live in their little bubble, and they don't want to question anything, because questioning it means rethinking so much that might be uncomfortable and cause you to rechange the way you're looking at everything. So that is my
But I
reason
think,
why.
just to interrupt there, I agree with what you're saying there, but I also think, well, certainly from my perspective anyway, I can draw a distinction between the government giving me a little bit of disinformation if they're acting in the interests of the people. You know, it's a bit like when your wife says, you know, hey, hon, does my ass look fat in this dress? And you go, no, you look beautiful. You know,
Right.
I think we all accept that is just a reality. The government can't tell us the truth about everything. You know, there are just things that they have to, you know, keep hidden, right? And
Personally,
we
I like a
accept
fat ass, but yeah, go on. I'm all about the cakes.
So, no, fair enough. I think petite, but anyway, so you know, so I think that we accept that, right? We accept the fact that there are things that the government can't tell us, and there are times where the government is going to deceive us when it's in our best interest. But it's when they could repeatedly do it for things that are not in our interest. Like there was no benefit to us in being told that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
There was no benefit in us being told that Saddam Hussein was hiding Osama bin Laden, when people like me knew damn well that Osama bin Laden was of a completely different religious sect to Saddam Hussein, and they hated each other, and they would be the last two people that would be allied together. That's not working in our interest. It's not working in our interest to spend billions of dollars on wars and send our people over there to die. I mean, I've had family go over and fight in those places and come back all munted and messed up.
Yeah.
But that's not in my best interest, and I take that personally when our governments lie to us in a way that has that kind of an effect, right? So then you look at what they're saying and you go, okay, well, I know that you lied there. I know that I can't trust you here. The lies weren't in our interest. So who are you lying on behalf of? You know?
Yeah.
And so then you're kind of like, it's just, you're having the red pill rammed down your throat. And once that's happened, there's no going back, is there? You know, like you can't go back into the matrix. Once you're out, there's no going back in.
No, that's just like me thinking, man, we didn't go to the moon. Once you're out of that matrix, dude, you realize, man, that was a great lie they told us. And that's a lie that I can get behind, saying, okay, I get why you told it. I get why you told it, and well done. I'll applaud you. Well done. You stopped everybody, and you scared everybody, and you backed everybody off, and you know that we were beyond technologically advanced, and so I get why they did it. It doesn't mean that we actually did it. And I know both of you, I think, disagree with me on that, but that's okay. You guys will come to the truth someday.
No, look,
You'll deal
I'm
with your
ambivalent about
cognitive
it.
dissonance.
I think the Americans had every justification to lie about going to the moon, and I think if they didn't go to the moon, they would have been more than happy to lie about it if they could get away with it.
Right.
Whether they did lie about it, or whether it's just the fact that the footage that we got shown was filmed, you know, in Area 51 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite possible too.
Laurel
Yeah, it may
Canyon.
well have been. It may well have been that the footage is dodgy, but the Americans did go. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I just put it in that, look, I don't know basket, and I'm not going to say that it did happen, because people are going to think that this thing here is tinfoil.
Right.
It's just actually a beanie.
You know,
It
it's
just
so
happens to be a
funny
bit of a
you say that,
silverish
though.
color.
I'm going to continue with my channel, always doing the politics and the stuff I've done, but I'm reigniting my interest and my fun in the conspiratorial realm of thinking about these things and talking about them. And it bothers some real patriots because, like, you can't say we didn't go to the moon, man, and then they'll just unsubscribe or send me bad messages and say I'm never going to listen to you again. And it's like, guys, I don't know we didn't go. I just don't think that we didn't go. Okay, so that's, you know, I don't think we went. But it's fun to talk about these things because it gets your brain starting to think outside the box a little bit, right? And I think that's important, and that's why I think there's validness in some of these conspiracy theories. I think we got to keep it within the realms, right? I'm not a flat earther, right? And that offends some people. Maybe they're, I can't believe you don't think the word is flat. I'm subscribing. I've looked into it a little bit, but it just seems just like too psychotic for me to get.
So you're one of those weirdos who think the Earth is a globe. What's wrong with
kind
you,
of
man?
am.
Of course it's flat.
Yeah, I know.
The church in the
again,
time
I
of
don't
Galileo is furious with you. Trust
I know.
me.
But I don't mock people that think that, really, because they're on their own journey and going through things. And who knows? Ultimately, I guess nobody knows anything, right? But and how deep does a rabbit trail go, or the rabbit hole go? We don't know. But ultimately, I'm going to start doing a little more on some of these conspiracy theory type stuff, like 9/11 and like the moon. I've been doing that, and Laurel Canyon. That's another one I want to touch on, which is really interesting. Not many people know about. And you know, chemtrails, which isn't even a conspiracy anymore, because that's actually been proven that that's been happening and that happens. So some of these things I'm going to dive into more because I find them interesting. But I also think I find them actually profitable in some ways because it gets us to start thinking about things in a different way, right or wrong. So,
well, two points on it. Like I'm ambivalent to the moon thing. I can see how it could have been a lie. I'll say this: there's a better chance that the moon landing was fake than that Epstein killed himself. And like that's without a doubt in my mind. So again, we have to ask ourselves, why is it that we can all recognize the lies that come from the mainstream media and the people that control the narrative, but we follow along with them when it comes to, but we have to agree with them that there are certain things that we can't question. And the other thing is, I don't mind questioning everything. There are very few things in life that we should just take for granted. It's almost always incumbent and better for you to actually question everything. Now, if you use a quote unquote conspiracy to some nefarious ends, right? Like if you're a flat earther just because you're interested in it, so be it. If you're a flat earther because you're trying to scam people out of money or something, okay, that's different. But us asking questions, that's perfectly fine. If you think that something's ridiculous, then you beat it in the marketplace of ideas. You don't say, that's wholesale ridiculous, I refuse to talk about it. And that is what so many people do, which frustrates me.
Yeah, I think it's just easy and convenient not to think these days. Like one of the things that I find interesting is, I go back about 30 years ago and I probably knew the phone number of everybody that I hung out with.
Yeah.
Now I don't know anyone's phone number. Look, I've even allowed technology to start doing my thinking for me in some ways, right? And that kind of thing is bad. And for people who've only ever been brought up with the technology doing their thinking and doing their sums and everything for them, it just seems like it's really easy not to think too much, and so that is a bit of a worry for me. And I think, and again, that's another reason why I think this kind of stuff is great, because I think if you're going to be watching us, if you're going to sit down and you're going to listen to us guys talking for a couple of hours, you're probably going to be a thinker, either that or you're someone who's really, really struggling with sleep. And, you're listening to us in the last desperate hope before you down a bottle of bourbon or something. But you know what I mean? So like people need to be encouraged to think.
Yeah,
that is a fundamental thing, and we are people who are at the forefront of that. And again, they are the kinds of people that the social media want to shut down. They don't want
just real quick, we should all strive to hold ourselves to the same criteria, the same ethics that we hold other people to. And so when I can see the ridiculous nature in a serious way of our government saying, how dare you question the Iraq war? Well, we saw that led to actual people dying.
Right.
Well, by the same token, I'm not going to put myself in the position where I say, I have this orthodoxy. Clearly, we went to the moon. And if you don't agree with that, you're a terrible person. No, I'm willing to talk about it. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to believe.
Right.
You still have to prove it to me. But anyone who's just, maybe you're not interested, that's fine too. But anyone who's like angry that someone would question it, it's like, come on now. You don't want to become the same people we criticize.
Yeah, and I wanted to just call out to Modus, which is one of my mods, and I love him. Yeah, we can see some stuff on the moon allegedly, right? We can't see it that clear, and it's funny, we can see into the deep recesses of space and stars exploding, but we can't get an up close and personal picture of the moon. That seems a little weird to me. But on top of that, I've never once said we didn't send a probe or an unmanned mission to the moon, right? I think that's completely within the realm of possibilities. All I'm saying is in 1969, with the technology of a toaster, we didn't send 7 missions to the moon flawlessly. And when we look at all the surrounding details on that, where they were correlating with the Vietnam War and at home, propaganda and morale boosting, I just don't think that's what we did. But Modus, we can agree to disagree, and you're still a mod of mine, and I hope you still stay in my channel and you love me for a long time. But we can disagree on that. We can totally disagree on that. All right, guys. Hey, listen, let's jump to this next one, and then this has gone longer. So some of those other episodes or other clips that I wanted to touch on in segment 4. I think I'm going to put those up as videos, or maybe tonight when the wife goes to bed, I'll do or when I get done helping her around the house doing some stuff, because I've been kind of doing this all day. It takes a lot going into putting in these streams together. You know, it takes a lot to get.
When you get out from under your wife's thumb, you're saying that you might get back online. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah,
is that the
is
code?
what I'm telling you. That's funny, dude.
He might end up in the
Sorry, mate.
But let's do this last segment, which is I didn't create a bumper for it, but actually let's take a 60-second timeout really quick, and then we're going to come back. We're going to jump into my virtuous outrage of the week. That's going to be my new segment, and I'm going to do a little bumper of virtuous outrage of the week with Steven. It'll be something like that. It'll be cute like all my other ones. But we'll be back in 60 seconds. Don't go away.
Hey everybody, got 30 seconds to do this. So what I want to tell you is that I really need you to follow me. You need to follow me on Parler, Minds, BitChute, Twitch, DLive, Twitter, Perspective SJG. Everything else is SJG
Perspective. No underscore there, people.
And Twitter
no underscore.
Perspective SJG. Don't ask me why Twitter's weird. But do that because there could come a day when YouTube just doesn't want to have me around anymore.
And on the Discord.
And on the Discord. Oh, and
everybody
one final
sign
thing
up
in
for the
next 6
Discord. I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Page of my
It's going in the
channel.
chat right now. Please join the Discord.
And you will see email link down in the about page of my channel. Hit that, pulls up a form, give me your email address. I promise you I'm never going to share it with anybody else. This is only supposed to be 30 seconds.
I don't ever
want it
really
to
go
be
to
less
Gab
than a minute.
anymore,
Here we go.
but-
I'm done. And now back to the show. Have a great night. Bye.
All right, bye.
Oh yeah, P.S. Please
P.S.
like and share this video.
Like and share it.
Do that.
Like and share it. Like and share it. Like and share it. Like and share it. Okay, guys. So we are going to jump in here for this quick 1-minute thing, and then we're going to sign off here in a second. But I thought my virtuous outrage of the week. And if you guys want to say something, just say, hey, Steve, pause it. Because if you want to say something about this, but I just thought we'd play it out and we would just ask a couple questions. A couple of the questions you got to have in mind is color of your hair. What's up with that? Where?
I just have to. One question I've got is, what is that thing?
I
I know
know.
it lives here in Australia, but what is it?
And where did? And too bad that didn't get burned up in the fire of Australia. And
Oh man,
where did she get those god awful sterling rings? Right. She likes to point both her middle fingers to the sky. What should we be, and why so angry? Talk about the very reason why guys don't want to marry this, with the whole Fox guy in the UK who just came out and says he doesn't date woke women. Well, here's one of the reasons why that make perfect sense of why he does not date woke women. And go.
Fuck the patriarchy. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck my...
Why is it doing that right now? Why are you doing that to me?
she sounds a bit like a nymphomaniac, though, doesn't she?
She does. She
just wants to have sex with everything.
I think she does, man. Here, let's see if I can get this to go.
Hence, fuck white supremacy. Fuck racism. Fuck misogyny. Fuck homophobia. Fuck transphobia. Fuck capitalism.
Sorry, Cindy.
Fuck classism. Fuck transphobia. Fuck ableism. Fuck Islamophobia. Fuck anti-Semitism. Fuck every kind of bigotry out there. I'm here in front of the White House. I am not here for polite protest because patriarchy is not polite.
Wait a minute. We're not polite, but you are? That's right there. That's the you are so polite and bright. Your hair's bright. Polite, bright. Sorry. I'll continue.
I am not here for quiet protest because patriarchy is not quiet. Fuck the patriarchy here in Washington, D.C. Fuck the patriarchy in Cairo, Egypt, where I'm from. Fuck the patriarchy.
Maybe she should go back to Cairo, Egypt, and try that and see how that works out for her. See how you go.
Yep.
You go back to Cairo, Egypt, right? And let's see how much you hate the patriarchy over there. Let's see how this works out for you.
Yes, that was going to be my primary point with this woman. You know, like it does get tiring when you hear all of these people standing up screeching like friggin' maniacal lunatics that they don't have the right to speak because they're oppressed, and they never shut up about how oppressed they are. No, if you're repressed, like you don't see, for example, the Baha'i in Iran getting out and regularly talking about their oppression because they just get the shit kicked out of them. They get killed. They get put in jail. They get put into, they become sex slaves or whatever, so that's oppression. This is someone who was only oppressed by your inability to cope with freedom.
Right.
That is it. That is the extent of it.
And there's this, like, other than the irony of her saying, like, oh, yeah, we have to be civil or what's polite or anything like that. Why is it that people think if they use the F word that it gives gravitas to what they're saying? It's so stupid. And if you're really going to get philosophical about it, or psychological, maybe it's a better way of putting it, isn't there some sort of appropriation you see for this? Like, for example, we are considered uneducated. People say, oh, conservatives or Trump supporters or whatever are uneducated compared to other, the great intellectuals on the left. But then they appropriate the way we talk. They appropriate the way the average person talks. And it's kind of like they want to have their cake and eat it too. On one hand, they want to be treated as we are these highbrow intellectuals. But on the other hand, they're like, oh, we're so passionate. We use the F word. And you're fake. You're neither. You're not genuine talking like a normal person because you use profanity. And you're also not the intellectual you think you are. You're a spiteful, hateful little twerp who thinks that the world's controlled by a bunch of people that share your mindset. Because the truth is with these feminists, they know if they had power, they would oppress and treat people like garbage that didn't agree with them. So they assume that everyone else must think like that. When in reality, it's them that are the oppressing scumbag, ridiculous, unattractive, I would say. In this case.
But even beyond that, if you look at the psychology of it, like you're probably dealing with some people who do have some genuine issues and some genuine problems going on in their lives, right? And they can't look honestly at themselves. This is sort of getting into psychology here, but these are people, I think, who are completely oblivious to their own mistakes leading to their unhappiness. And so they look to blame other people for their unhappiness. And what they do is generate more mistakes and they generate more unhappiness. And then they go and they blame us. And we're the ones who are saying, well, hang on a minute. If you don't want to be unhappy, here's some things you could do. Stop being angry about everything all the time. Stop wanting everything your own way. Start to realize that you're no more important than everybody else, right? Yeah. Everybody has value. Mm-hmm. She has as much value as you, me, or anyone else. Right? Everybody has a right to pursue their own version of freedom, but I think a large part of this comes down to this concept of how we define freedom. See, people like her, they will define freedom as you're free if you're free to be a heroin addict. Whereas I say, if you're a heroin addict, there is no sense in which you are free. Mm-hmm. Right. And I honestly think that is a major part of the problem that these people have, because they see themselves becoming, metaphorically speaking, a heroin addict. Right. And that has all these problems that come along with it and complications that go with it. And they blame us for the lack of freedom that their addiction causes. Is this making sense? Yeah. Right. Whereas we look at it and say, no, it's actually what you're doing that is causing your own problems. Yeah. Stop doing that and things will get better.
Yeah. And as Mark 18 motto said, she needs the D. I think he meant the vitamin D, if you know what I mean. She needs a little vitamin D for sure.
If she could find one that was capable of performing its intended function, I'm not sure that she could she? No. The poor thing.
There's someone out there, sure.
There's someone for everybody. If not, she could just buy a Bob off of Amazon, battery operated buddy. All right, let's carry on.
Across the world, fuck the patriarchy in every time zone, and fuck the patriarchy in every universe.
Every universe. That's my favorite part. Sorry, I didn't mean to. That's my favorite part right there. In every universe, right? Especially the one she comes from, because God knows it is a different world.
In all my made-up versions of reality, the patriarchy is bad.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, if you have to deal with someone like this, I dealt with this in debate all the time. You would walk into a round. I'm not making this up. This was common. Your topic might be, we should end farm subsidies. I'd speak for 9 minutes. Then they get 3 minutes to ask me a question. First question, why haven't you acknowledged your privilege as a white man? Oh. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? And so they would go on and on. And what I quickly realized was, their rhetorical power comes from their self-perceived anger and righteousness. And so if you deal with someone like this and you're like, listen, you're being childish, this is absurd. You think because you've watched movies of what you think passionate advocacy is for something, and you're trying to reflect that in a ham-handed way by cursing. But in reality, you're not saying anything. Now, if you want to have a discussion about what you perceive as your rights being infringed as the patriarchy, fine, we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to let you sit here and belittle people and insult them. It's childish. You're supposed to be the intellectual, not me. I'm the drunk on SJG's podcast right now, so, but they have nothing. If you put things in that context of them, all they have is them screaming at you. And when you put it in the context of like, There is no reason for you to be screaming at me. I'm willing to have a conversation with you, but this is all show on your point. You have no substance.
Right.
And I did this over and over in debate. I would just be like, look, I'll forfeit the round. I'm not going to let you call me a racist. You want to have a discussion about race? Fine. You're going to call me a racist. I'm out the door.
Yeah.
You go ahead and go home and tell everyone you were awesome. You beat Rob in a debate, because I'm not going to let you insult me. I'm not a racist.
Yeah.
I'm not part of the patriarchy. I'm not, keeping women oppressed. So if you're going to act like that, then there's no need for a discussion. Now, if you want to have a serious discussion, sure, let's do it. But
yeah. All right, here, guys, hang on a second here. I'm going to close this up with my last final thoughts. And I'm going to look over here as I do it, because I had some notes. Maybe that wasn't the best camera to use. That was supposedly probably not the best camera to use, but it doesn't matter. We will get that glitch worked out next time. For my final thoughts on this, you guys, I wanted to, and then we'll thank the both guests, and we're going to get out of here. But our governments can't be trusted, guys. There's fake news, hypocritical projecting lying politicians, deep state operations, suspicious global health emergencies, cultural and societal suicide being glorified and praised and legally mandated and protected. A couple of the articles we didn't get to, but I'm going to get them up as videos here this weekend. Thorough cover-ups and conspiracies, suspicions, and blatantly obvious cover-ups. This is the world we're living in right now. Epstein didn't kill himself, as Robert so eloquently touched on some of these points, and so many of these other things that we could just go down the list and talk about. But instead of telling you everything that's wrong with the world and everything that's messed up, right, I want to leave this stream tonight with some things that we can do as patriots, we can do as good people, we can do to make the world a better place. Those things are simple. Those are your controllables. Some of these thoughts I had was, trust your common sense. Trust the God-given common sense that you've been given, and that the postmodern cultural Marxism of this world wants to destroy, wants to take away, wants to blind. The cognitive dissonance that wants to cloud your mind. Use your common sense to clear that cloud away. Build local, tightly knit relationships in real life. If all of you have, and if all you have is online because you live out somewhere, you don't have a lot of friends, build a close network of friends online that you truly can connect with, and that can be your support and somebody to bounce things off of, to practice your common sense with, to talk about things. Help those around you that are in need as best you can. Believe for the best and prepare for the worst, internally, inside yourself, and externally in the world around you. Believe for the best, but prepare for the worst. Don't ever put too much trust or hope in the leaders. They're all flawed humans. That includes Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump, but we cannot glorify any one human and say, he is Jesus, he is God, he's going to fix everything, and I believe every word that comes out of their mouths. You got to question and weigh out everything that comes across your plate. And don't ever put too much trust in one certain person. Stand for truth. Stand for righteousness. And when I say righteousness, I'm not solely talking about biblically speaking. I'm talking about what is right. That is what righteousness is. What is right? Being right. Being, morally speaking. Stand for righteousness. Let no man, no group, no leader, no government ever tell you that what you are allowed to think, say, or believe. You think, say, and believe what your common sense and your God-given morals inside of you stand for and guide you. And finally, be loyal and honest to those who are around you and with yourself. If you do these things and you've done all you can, then you can rest knowing you're controlling your controllables. And the rest of the world is going to do what the rest of the world is going to do. Final thoughts from my friends that are on here tonight.
Go ahead, Rational.
Oh, yeah, for me, my thing, being someone who's into philosophy, I would say there are very few things that we can know for certain, which we discussed before. And it is absolutely imperative for us to think. We also need to understand that everybody around us has value, right? If we see the people around us, whether they're our enemy or our friend, if we see them as being people who have value, and we see them as being, a little bit flawed and a little bit human, it does kind of help us to be able to understand where they're at, whether they're friends or foe, whether they're in trouble or not, and I think that's really important. We need to be able to understand. A lot of people, they have legitimate reasons for believing in some of the absurdities in which they believe, and sometimes it comes down to psychological issues, and we need to be able to understand, like our aim, as we were saying before, I think should be to do the greatest good that we can by the greatest number of people, and if all of us could adopt that kind of a mindset with the people around us, I think the world would be a much better place. But we have to understand we're all flawed, imperfect people. And again, I'll say it: think, don't just believe, never believe, don't believe anyone. Do your own learning and your own thinking. That's it for me, Rob.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off both of what you guys said. Be a free thinker, come up with your own ideas, be willing to listen to people that you might otherwise disagree with. Assume the best intentions when people disagree with you, and try to put yourself in their shoes and have a reasonable discussion with them. And the last thing is, remember, your actions are louder than your words. I'm proud to have been associated with so many people that were at that Virginia rally, because it's one thing for us to, for strategic reasons, talk about the need to listen to other perspectives or to be peaceful, but to actually see a group of people there that there were more firearms than people, and they went and they showed exactly how a true patriot should act, exactly how a free thinker should act, with the utmost civility, cleaning up garbage after the event. There were people there from Black Lives Matter, Black Panthers. There were people there that disagreed with them. No threats of violence, no bigotry. Those actions speak louder than our words, and you should try to do that in your life, right? Like, it's one thing to talk the big game, but honestly, try to be a decent person. Try to listen to different perspectives and support independent people that have different voices.
Yeah, amen. All right, guys, I appreciate Robert for joining us, doing a little drunk streaming with us. Right? Yeah. And for Rational, say something so it clicks over to you, Rational.
No, I already have, mate. I already said my bit. I got in between the two of you.
I just wanted to get your picture up there because I have to click over for you to talk. So for Rational and Robert, if you guys aren't subbed to them, please go sub up on their channel. You can search Robert Nowhere, and it's for his channel, and Rational Wrongthink for his. I'm sorry I didn't have those links up in the channel, but I will put them in the description of this eventually. But you can find them. And until next time, you guys, it's without fear or animus.
Without fear of animals.
Without fear of animals too. Now that 5 billion of them are dead. Without fear or animus, though, I appreciate you guys checking us out and hanging out. And we will be here again next Saturday, and I'll be putting some videos up this week. Thank you, everybody. Share it out and come back next time. Love you. Have a great night. Peace out.
Catch you later, y'all.